and welcome to the God is a Geek Game of the Year Deliberations Day 3. My name's Adam Cook, and I'm your host, and I am joined by Chris Hyde.
Definitely wasn't taking a swig of drink when you introduced me there.
Good
you
lad.
Absolute bastard.
We are joined by Chris White.
Hello, Adam. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks for asking. It's nice to be
Good.
asked. How are you, Lyle?
Hang on.
I'm fine, by the way.
Every other time, I always ask you. Oh, fuck off. Carry
Lyle,
on.
you good?
Yeah, I'm very good. How is Mick? Is Mick okay?
Mick Fraser, and also, what are you rocking, Mick?
Mick is good. I'm rocking tea again.
Fucking tea.
It's going to be a cup of tea every day. Look, I'm good. How are you, Ab? You all right,
I'm
mate?
fine, thanks, mate. I'm really pleased to be asked by several people, but not Chris. How are you,
I'm
Chris?
all right as well, by the way.
No, I'm not
He doesn't
fast.
care.
Too late. You'll notice I'm wearing the winner of Biggest Disappointment merch. No, it didn't. It didn't. But do go back and listen to that.
Most anticipated award.
Yeah, most anticipated. Sponsored by Lyle Carr. What are you rocking?
I'm back to the day one classic of Copperberg mixed
Berg.
fruits.
Nice.
Okay. And Chris White, what are you on?
Yesterday,
Yeah.
I had this.
Oh,
And I took one sip out of it and not had any more since yesterday. So I thought
Slightly flatter Vimto is what
slightly
I'm saying.
flatter Vimto. Yeah.
So, prime Mick.
Yeah.
I'm just water today because it's got to be serious here. But Chris Hyde, I know that as things are getting busy, you'll be rocking something serious.
I'm rocking the H2O. Oh,
Water,
my God.
yeah. Water, he's on water again. Right, best multiplayer and the best new character are on day 3's docket, and last year's best multiplayer game was Lyle
It
Carr?
takes two.
Yeah,
It takes two.
Halo Infinite, Monster Hunter Rise, Forza Horizon 5, and Knockout City. Remember Knockout City? That was 5th.
Yeah, that was good. for a minute.
Still going. Season 8, I think now it is, or 13. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We're not talking about it. Best
They're quite far apart.
Best multiplayer nominations this year are Windjammers 2, FIFA 23, Overwatch 2, Splatoon 3, Mario Strikers Battle League, Nintendo Switch Sports, Rainbow Six Extraction, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Multiverses, Midnight Ghost Hunt, Gotham Knights, Nobody Saves the World, and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
I just
Gotham Knights has
I'm Rob
multiplayer.
Burgundy moment, but Knights.
Reading my script
Like,
and
as
something
in,
didn't make sense.
why the fuck is
I
this in
wouldn't-
here?
I
So
wouldn't
shall we
even
just...
know that. Did Gotham Knights have multiplayer? What's the multiplayer
Yeah.
in Gotham Knights?
Well, let's start there.
Is it is it one of these, like, do they just tag a friend in and you beat people up together? Like, you can't do much together, surely. You can't do all the collectibles and stuff with another person, can you? Like the little, when you do the little time trial thing to get a cash or whatever.
It's kind of like you can do stuff together, or you can just do completely separate parts of the map at your own leisure together. But it's like it's a nice idea, but you don't really do much. It's not like breaking the wheel, reinventing the wheel, breaking the wheel. Jesus.
I consider Gotham Knights to be like, if you've got that song that you really like, that is kind of embarrassing, so you don't want to play it in front of people. Like, I kind of feel like I wouldn't bring anyone
Like
round
Bewitched.
to my house or ask them to. Yeah,
Oh,
There's nothing wrong with Bewitched.
do you
Can
know
we
that-
not? Can we backtrack on that one for a second?
There were some cool moments in the multiplayer, like when Chris White and I were playing it, and one of us would just like be fighting, and the other would just sort of drop into the battle, and it's like, oh, it's Chris, and it's quite cool. But I would also say we did it for like what?
Once.
I think twice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Hour and a
Don't
half
play anymore.
total, and it's like it doesn't feel like a.
And like the way you can like have random players drop in, I don't like that.
Oh,
you
I'd
can
turn
turn
that
it off. But I hate it. I had someone drop in and just fuck up my whole mission, and then just pissed off. Like, what's the point?
So what I'm hearing is best multiplayer.
Yeah, top 5.
Shall I delete it?
Yeah, let's get rid of it.
I reckon so.
Okay. I think I put Windjammers 2 on this list.
I haven't played half of these.
Probably.
Do any of you know
And
what
it-
it
and
is?
I played it a little bit and didn't really understand it and tried to
That's
figure it
fair.
out. And then
Isn't it
stopped
like?
playing it.
Isn't it
If
like?
it's too weird for Lyle, instant red flag.
Isn't it some kind of football
It's like
slash
No.
fighting
frisbee,
slash?
No.
but like you sort of
Frisbee.
like pong a bit.
It's frisbee.
I think I edited Sean Smith's review
That's
of it, maybe.
completely
And that's
correct.
why it's
Sean
in my
Smith
mind.
did.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a fantastic game, and like they could have cocked it up. Windjammers is like one of those. Us oldies fucking love Windjammers back into the arcade. Sorry, I didn't mean to do your voice then, Chris Hyde.
Sorry, what? Oh yeah,
Northern.
because I'm from.
You're from
Yorkshire.
up north. No,
hell.
it's a fantastic game.
We're not
And-
even halfway up the country. I don't...
Chris White's nearer
Listen,
Yorkshire than I
I've
am.
been there. It took fucking ages. If Timbuktu, as
You
far
live
as
in
I'm
the
concerned.
sea. Everywhere's
Yeah.
fucking ages from where you live.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Down south. Anyway, Windjammers 2 is like one of those where they tweaked it just enough, little bits and pieces to make it feel new, but they built upon a very solid structure of like the original. Christ, when was it made? 1994, 95? Don't remember, but someone
Neither does Lyle, I
long
think.
time ago.
It must have been a little baby then.
Maybe. But it's such a really weird, unique idea, like throwing frisbees at each other, but with special moves, like fighting game special moves thrown in and stuff. But I can see that on our lists, it's not got a hope in fucking hell. So I'll just delete it now and say, if you've never heard of Windjammers, seek out a video or maybe a video review on godasthegeek.com and have a look at that in action. And it's a terrific, fun, weird. I love multiplayer games that sort of are weird. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like something new, and they sort of remade Windjammers, and then that was almost like proof of concept to show, hey, we can do it, we can do it. Then they got the sequel, and it's great. But yeah, bye. There you go. Happy, everyone's happy.
This
Next
list is
up.
almost like the best re-release, or remake for me. I've got no dog in this fight whatsoever.
well.
I don't play multiplayer. I don't.
You do. That's a complete lie. We played so much.
Right, I play multiplayer with you guys. and
That's
I
what
play
this is,
Destiny
Mick.
2.
I
And
don't
beyond
wanna be
that-
the
yeah,
one
but I only played.
I'm not
like,
trying to
3 of
sandbag
these
you here,
games,
mate.
Yeah. I maybe played 2 of these games with you guys.
Well.
So,
Just make yourself more available, mate. You know, that's what I'm saying.
well, I try.
Don't be such a, Billy no mates.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try again now. This time, I'm gonna say, does Mario Strikers Battle League?
Yeah.
It didn't seem to do very well.
Why?
It seemed to
What
be
do you mean?
forgotten quite quickly. And...
I wish I'd actually taken the time to play that. You know what we said when this came out? It's like, oh, we can have a Mario Strikers.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
and it was
We
just
never
Adam sat in a
And I
league
never
table
played it. And I'm like,
on my
oh,
own.
I'll be all over that. What a great friend I am.
I
And
remember
was
being
like,
there, my own every night, crying
Yeah,
and wanking.
yeah, sad wanking
Yep.
to me.
Tears
No,
for
no,
Lube
let's
is
be
not a
clear.
good look.
No.
Making the
does
sound
it?
from Freezer Pops.
She didn't have a huge
Oh, I nearly got it from Mick. Nearly.
sploosh. Yeah, I
mean, it's
suppose.
only you that's played it, right? As well, am I?
I reviewed it.
Oh, did you review it? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Carry on.
And I hate Mario, so
I wouldn't have it as the best multiplayer. I won't really be a fan of playing this with other people. I just think it's a bit too.
Doesn't
Oh,
sound
really?
right for multiplayer.
Yeah.
best multiplayer. Shit with other people.
You and Mick together in a room, back to back,
FIFA
playing
Flight
alone.
2022.
Yeah,
I just think it's a bit too chaotic. I don't like. I don't like sports games that rely on luck, and a lot of it does. Like, there's not a ton of skill involved in it, and I just feel like I get annoyed. It's like someone playing, like learning all the moves in Street Fighter 2, and someone's Dal Sim, and they just trap you in a corner with the big arms. That's how I feel with that. I just don't think there's any particular skill involved in winning. Like, I would play my daughter,
And I
she
know.
would beat
Can
me.
I just say I know how much it's hurting Adam to not counter that argument specifically about Street Fighter 2, but let's move on.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, get rid of
I'm in a good mood. I'm sober.
Just
once,
Is it? I'm not an angry drunk today.
We're cutting FIFA 23 as well.
Had a freezer pop. Wank.
What did it do? What has it done
No,
differently?
To be honest with you, I would cut this.
Fair enough. So what's next?
I didn't say why now. No, just fucking that's
I
it.
do. I want to know, Chris.
Isn't FIFA just FIFA every year though? Like, and that's
Oh,
just
you,
a
no, but you
constant-
say that every
kind of.
fucking year.
You do, yeah, you say that every year, kind of. But Like it is, but they've also done stuff that's just annoying this year.
Oh, okay.
Well, then
So
it's
it's
just
actually
like-
worse.
They've combined pro clubs
put Mario in
with
it,
Volta,
haven't they?
which is just
yeah.
fucking
Oh.
irritating because they go like, and when you start, and I do pro clubs, as everyone knows, you start playing pro clubs, and it literally goes. Sorry, did you want to play Volta? No, I fucking didn't, FIFA. Can you shut up? Are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to play Volta? No, no one likes Volta. Fuck off.
That's like the Call of Duty Warzone problem. What do you mean
Yeah.
not playing fucking Warzone?
Thankfully,
Play
they've rolled that
Warzone,
back
loser.
in now, but like it's a separate thing. But yeah, when it first came out, it's like, you sure? You sure you don't want to play that? So it's like that. And then
This
a couple
guy's
of
not
updates
playing.
ago, they fucking balked the game, and it was just bullshit. And I haven't played it for a little while because it was shit. So no, I can't say
we were
that
gonna
this
cut
is
it before you
What-
said it was shit for 20 minutes.
yeah. I
3 minutes. He did about 60 seconds. Fucking hell.
You
Seems
spent
like
longer
60
reacting to
seconds.
freezer pops.
20
I'm
minutes.
still reacting to Freezer
yeah,
Pop.
that would never
I've
leave
not
us.
finished yet.
I think this. I'm not going to stick up for it, unless
Nor
you
am
are.
I.
Adam.
No, mate, I don't think I played multiplayer. And like, to be honest with you, it's maybe not fair on the game, but the amount one of my children rages about it online, I don't want to ever play this game online ever again, ever. So
It
yeah,
feels
bye-bye.
very. They've done an update recently, and it just feels like you just sit there so many times and go, "Sorry, what the fuck has just happened?" Someone's just, "Oh, hang on a minute, I'm just going to score from the halfway line," or
So
some
Mick's
shit like
right,
that. And
it
I
is
just, I
FIFA.
can't be doing with it. So no, no. It's and
Easy.
To
This
Mick's
is
point, I can't
easy.
even list the things it's brought to the table other than irritating Bolter shit.
This is easy. We are.
Can I
This
ask
is
you-
easy. Go on, someone name a game. Name a game. Come on.
I want to
It's
ask
easy.
about one that I really want to know. Midnight Ghost Hunt, because it sounds cool as fuck.
It is cool.
Is
as
it a bit
fuck.
like Phasmophobia? Is it
Yeah, Phasmophobia.
Yeah.
It is, but it's not.
Because I played Phasmophobia, I haven't played Midnight Ghost Hunt. so-
Okay. So Midnight Ghost Hunt there's a team of 4 ghost hunters and a team of 4 ghosts. If you're the ghost hunters, you want to find the ghosts in a kind of like prop hunt-esque way, but with ghost busting gadgets and stuff like that before midnight. And if you're the ghosts, you want to survive till midnight. And then when it becomes midnight, the ghosts become super fucking powerful, and it's very easy to kill the ghost hunters, and then the aim is to kill them. So to me it was one of the most sort of creative and interesting multiplayer games of the year. It was the one that hooked me the hardest. And like I just really loved, like, you'd have some games where you'd find a specific spot, and like the way it worked with the prop hunt thing was that instead, if you stayed still for too long, the ghost busting gadgets find it easier to find you. So you sort of have to like move around a little bit to kind of but sneakily to make it work. And it just it was just so creative, having like rounds where you'd maybe find like a particularly good little box and find sort of places to zoom between, and you'd sort of have to figure out who was going where and everything. I don't know if I'll have much backing with it. I know,
No,
Adam, you played like 5 minutes of it to get
do you
some
know?
footage
No,
and
not
didn't
quite.
like it.
Not quite 5 minutes when I was told. But what I found, it wasn't so much I didn't like it, but it felt like kind of the epitome of one of those games, a bit like Call of Duty. Whereas if there were people who were just better than everyone and knew everything about the game already, and there was no counter to it, it was unwinnable. I feel like it was just never going to click with me because of the time investment required. But I just felt like it was one of those where people learned the tricks and they knew they were going to win, and there's nothing you could do to counter it, and it just didn't grab me. I can't back it. I'm afraid, mate. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's a cut. Is that a cut?
it probably is, because if there's no one else who's going to support it, I don't see how I can push it to the
I think
end.
also we are
although-
probably going to get to a point with this where when we're talking about multiplayer, it's because we're playing them together.
Yeah, I
As
think
well
most
as
of the
that's
games
gonna
on
be
this
a
list,
thing.
some people will have played it together, so surely there will
What
be
is-
multiple people who have.
What does Nobody Saves the World do in multiplayer? What's that like in multiplayer?
So, in terms of kind of why I added it, so obviously me and Adam played through quite a lot of my game, I think, for
What was yours,
multiplayer. This will be true of another game on this list, but it very much does the thing where you can kind of kind of help with progression in another player's game.
You mean it does multiplayer correctly?
Yeah,
That's what
we'll
you're
talk about that again in another game. But also like, but in a way that I guess the progression is designed in Nobody Saves the World, like where you're kind of mixing and matching like forms and abilities and stuff, and having two people really does elevate that concept, because the loadouts are kind of, I guess it's multiplied by 2, right? So when you're in dungeons with like specific rule sets around things that work or certain types of enemies, that there's much more kind of consideration for, you know, Adam will have this loadout, I'll have this loadout, and we'll go through it together, more considered, rather than just like, well, I prefer this form generally, so I'm gonna do this. So I did think that was kind of a nice kind of cooperative cohesion for against going alongside the kind of the design of the game. There are others I would rate higher.
I think it's a cut, mate. I'll be honest with you, and I can give you 2 reasons as to why. One, I think it's a better game solo, right? Which is not saying it's bad. Multiplayer, I think it's better when you play it on your own. 2, I think there's an issue with how slow paced it can be when you play cooperatively, because whoever. So this is a game where you are constantly completing challenges, like. That's kind of part of the loop, is that you complete a challenge and then you complete another challenge. And whoever does that wants to hit a button to check the challenges out, which means you are constantly in the pause menus one way or another. And if it isn't Chris pausing for it, it's me pausing for it. And it just feels inelegant. And I think it's great. It's a good game. Fantastic game, but not.
Yeah,
not
so I think that's
me.
fair, because I guess the solution would be, if you achieved an objective, you automatically got the XP, right? And then you leveled up organically. Whereas what you have to do is you have to kind of submit that you've achieved the challenges to get the XP. And so to Adam's point, you're doubling up the amount of challenges you complete. Mm-hmm. So therefore you're doubling up the pause. I disagree about the co-op and solo bit personally, but the second point I completely agree with. I
just feel there's maybe like if you go into the menus, it just makes it clear that you're in. You know, when there's like a FromSoft game, when you go into the menu and you're in the menu, but the world's not stopped. In this game, you clear out a wave of enemies and then they're gone. They're gone until you move to the next sort of area with the next wave. So I don't see why they couldn't have just said, like if Adam's pressed, player 2's pressed pause to look at his thing, player 1 can still move around and continue with his game. Like, make them instances rather than you are. It is like you are in the room playing co-op rather than you are in your own console running your own game. Fantastic game, just not a top 5 multiplayer for me of the year, but.
I don't disagree with looking at some of these.
Yep. So, someone else can suggest one.
Nintendo Switch Sports.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear about it because I haven't played it and I don't know who else has. So I want to hear about it. So.
No one will have. Did you like Wii Sports?
Yeah.
Where would you put that in terms of multiplayer experiences?
Pretty high.
What about if you could do all of that, but they had an online? So you didn't have to have someone in the room with you, and you could click, I want to play the sword fighting. I've forgotten what I can't remember what it's called now, but the sword fighting thing, or tennis, or bowling.
I don't know, actually. That's a very interesting question. Because I think part of the charm of Wii Sports was the local part of that multiplayer, if I'm honest. But I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
You can do that too. But what if there's
I know.
around?
I'm just saying, like, as
what
an
if
ad.
you fancy a game of bowling or tennis, and your kids or your wife or your mum or your dad or anyone who you might have around doesn't really feel like it today? You can go online and you can pick a sport.
I agree. My point is, do I still fancy a game of bowling if those people aren't there? That's me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Me, Wii Sports was always get it out when the lad's around. God, that sounds really bad. That's me rephrase
Strike it from the list.
But that's me personally.
But to be clear, you can also still do that.
Oh no, I know. I'm just saying, as a build that you're saying versus Wii Sports, it wouldn't be the thing that like, But
Wii Sports isn't in the list. I'm just saying, as a comparison point, what if you have Wii Sports brought up to date
I'm not
with a modern
diminishing
game?
This at all. I don't know enough about it. Well, I know enough about I know the games and the things.
What if they did all of that and they brought back the favourites like bowling, tennis? What if they added volleyball and badminton? What if they finally added golf, which they've finally done, which, to be fair, wasn't there when it launched, but it is a free update, so you can do that. What if they also added football, and that football was basically Rocket League, but with a massive football? What are you not liking here? Like, you know what I mean? Rocket League is great fun. The football in Nintendo Switch Sports is basically that. It is either 1v1 or whatever, or team versus team, and it's a massive football, and you can use the motion controls to diving head of the ball, and it's never not funny. It's never not funny. Like, you've played for hours and hours and hours, and it's still funny when your avatar goes whoop, and just like suddenly diving head as the ball.
I think that sounds cool.
It's just
It does sound cool. Like,
fun.
And
to
I
me,
wonder if it
it's
sounds
the kind
more
of thing
you...
I'd want to. Like I said, for me personally, it's the kind of thing I want to get out with all my mates and have a bash of it, and I'd probably have a right good time.
You think about the words. You want to get it out with your mates and have a bash all the time.
Yes.
Lyle's bringing the freezer pops.
Yeah.
But what about if you've, like me, got older and your mates don't live 3 doors away anymore? And what if your kids are teenagers who you can play with, but during the day you fancied a game of bowling and your mates aren't 3 doors down?
I'll tell you what I'd posit for this one, because
I'd very much like that use of posit.
Yes.
That Adam's the only one who's going to have played this game, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's struck from the list, because it sounds like there's nothing else on this list that's the same. It sounds like there's nothing else on this list that you get that same, because it's sports, for one. Everything else here is either shooting.
The fidelity of the Joy-Cons, for example, is that of like the, what was it, Motion Plus, but it's better than that, isn't it, even? Like, yes, it's difficult to express for people who didn't play it, but and I don't actually think enough fuss was made about this, probably because people just thought, it was Wii Sports again, which it kind of is, but they've done more than that. But it did all that again. My mum was playing it. My wife was playing it. There was a moment in this room here where I was reviewing it, where I think the kids were on school holidays, and I looked behind me and I was working away, and they were both just playing the football behind me, and it was like, I haven't got them in a room together playing fucking anything without arguing and it was like, it was one of the moments where you're like, it gets said a lot, the Nintendo charm, and only Nintendo can do this, but I turned around and I was like, some cliches are cliches because they're fucking true. And it's like, look, I get it. If no one else has played it and it doesn't seem like a top 5, fine.
I don't feel like it's a cut yet.
I think there's not one of you.
Because I'd love it, I think.
This is what I was going to say. There's not one of you that wouldn't... Do you know what? They even did this thing where you could buy a version of it which came with a leg strap. Do you know? Has anyone played? In fact, I think Chris Hyde's got
Ring Fit.
Ring Fit comes with a leg strap. You put that on, you strap the Joy-Con in, and you can take a penalty shootouts against.
That's probably worse.
No, it's great.
I'm shit at football, but no,
it's great.
I know you can.
It's like they even did that, and when I played it at the time, I was like, well, it's a nice. I think I said it in the review. It's a nice little thing extra, but it's not what I'm going to go to time and time again. I'm thinking about it's like. It's pretty cool, though. It's really cool. They didn't. Do you know what I mean?
I want to be really clear. I'm not trying to shit on it.
No, I know you're not. But my point being is, I know you haven't played it, but I don't think any single one of you, if I sent you all a copy of this game, wouldn't play it. You might not play it every night. You might not play 100 hours of it, like we talked about Elden Ring the other day. But every single one of you would have fun with it. Whether it was like, Chris, for example, Chris Hyde, you and your missus playing like, badminton against 2 other people online, or Chris White playing bowling with his daughters. No, Chris White playing like bowling, because they even added a mode for like 100-person bowling that was a bit like a battle royale, where you get not eliminated each round. You know what I mean? You have to, like Mick with his kids.
I'd love to play it, man. I completely agree, and I think it's definitely top 5 for what it does.
The challenge for me, and
you
I
didn't
don't
let me finish. I was going to end on such a great joke then. It was great though. It was about Lyle and his lovely wiggly ass. It was going to be so good, and I was going to leave you with such. No, it wasn't so much a joke. It was going to be because obviously Lyle's situation is different to ours, and his partner's not necessarily going to be able to do some of the stuff in this game. I would imagine, right, Lyle?
I mean, to that point, I've played Wii Sports with my partner in the last 3 months. Yeah, so like.
Well, I was going to say, the joke doesn't work because in truth you can actually you can sit down and bowl and you can...
Yeah.
In fact, I got to the point where I'm like, I'm a fat, lazy man.
You can be a pro tennis player from
You absolutely can. But
you absolutely can.
The crude joke was going to be that, hey, even if Lyle's partner can't, at least they can watch him, moving his nice sweet ass around in front.
Shape with the children and that woman that didn't know what to see.
Yeah, go to Discord.
Anyway,
dancing champion.
Yeah.
Just dancing champion.
The point I was going to make was like, I know I would enjoy it, but I also haven't been clamoring to play at any point this year.
Why?
Because I haven't been.
It's just
Like
too
I
many
said,
games,
like you
though.
said, well, yeah, okay. What if your friends live far away? Me and you haven't played it.
You
once
haven't got
this-
it.
What's that?
You haven't got it. I'd play it with
But
you
if it was
tonight.
so, if the point, no. But if my point is, if it was so good, that's the only counter is that we could have played it. We could have made it work, right?
No, sorry. I could have made it work. I have the game. You're
have
having a
money.
go at the
God,
game
that
I
sounds
picked
arrogant,
it,
but you know what I mean. Like I can exchange money for goods and services.
and yet you've chosen not to,
yes,
despite the fact I reviewed
and
it
that's
with
the
a great
point.
score
I guess
on
I'm saying,
GOTY'sGeek.com.
but like I say, I do also agree that I can guarantee if I had this in my library and I went away with my mates and we were playing local multiplayer, we played this, few beers, we'd have a fucking whale of a time.
I
Guarantee that. I agree
bet
with
you would.
And yeah,
You
I don't know
filthy
why I said
little
that. I
monkey.
probably said some innuendo. We'd be freezer popping everywhere.
Sorry, just to be clear,
I don't.
you didn't buy it, but you sort of sound like you wish you did, and you could buy it, but you haven't. You're arguing with yourself.
No, it's the whole. Listen, I
You're
don't.
tight. Let's face it.
No, there is that. There is that, and we're not talking about money.
Oh, well, like I said. you
Back to
filthy-
freezer
Okay,
pop.
look. So I
Can we
mean,
at least
Can
port,
I have a
chip
question.
for now?
we
I have,
just-
and in all seriousness, to move this on, I have a question
hallelujah.
because I think there's another game on this list that only you've played. So
Yes.
there's another game on this list that only you've played.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, maybe.
So where are we pitching this in terms of innovation versus Splatoon 3?
But see, this very much sounds to me like you're saying I can only have one of them.
No, I'm not. But there can't be so many where we're top 5 that only Adam played on these other.
I won't have
on the
abuse from a
multiplayer
bully.
category.
I've played Splatoon 3.
Oh, have you? Okay, I apologise.
yeah.
Sorry, didn't know that.
I did. I just was going to keep quiet and let you just. And that's
I don't give a
not
shit.
that's not freezer pops noises, by the way. That's me. Just if you're just listening, that's the shovel. What's the question?
I don't know. I was trying to find cups. I thought this would be a quick
would you-
category.
Yeah, well, it was,
Or
but until I dug
Splatoon.
my heels in rather on Switch
Yeah.
Sports, I would keep Switch Sports over Splatoon 3. I know you're not asking that question, but if it ended up that between one of them was 6 and one of them was 5, I would keep Switch Sports.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's just. I really am surprised, genuinely, that like when you think back to Wii Sports and Wii Sports
Resort,
yeah.
Resort, and how much people spoke about and wrote about and vlogged about and all, how genre we talked about them on Breath of the Wild patreon.com
Oh,
/Scholars
God, yeah,
of
you had
Geek.
me on that one.
We talked about
Yeah.
like Wii Sports and how much of a genre shifting thing it was. It's really weird to me that this has come and gone and that no one's paid attention. It's like, sorry, this is Wii Sports basically, but 2022 and has online, right? And it's like it almost needed a public service announcement or something. It's really odd to me. Really odd. But
I kind of wish I'd bought it now, to be honest. I'm a bit miffed.
I'm not going to pretend I don't want to play it after this conversation.
Like
But I
the
also
football-
haven't
I-
played it.
I don't want to give.
Multiplayer.
I don't want to give Nintendo ideas, but I'd probably pay money for the football mode alone. It's so fucking fun going 1v1 with people in that football and doing the because like when in Rocket League when you sort of do the jump and the boost and you just knock it out of the way and save it. That only it's a sort of me avatar just doing a sudden like because they're like that. This is really bad for the audio, but they're very vertical, like a stood up person, and then suddenly they're like. And like they're just diving forward.
It's like a tennis thing where they like
yeah,
try to save it and they just go fucking flying.
and like yes, tennis and bowling, we've done these. These were in Wii Sports. That's why they're in here. Because they're great fun and people loved. If they'd have put Wii Switch Sports out without bowling, people would have rioted. Well, the 3 people that seem to care about the game, like I'm one of them. But I would look if it doesn't make the top 5, fine. I've made my case for it. We need to move on for this to a different game. For now, I really don't want it to go just yet.
Speaking of things then that came and went real fast, or in my opinion, they kind
Is it Chris and his mates?
I didn't. That was
Good
multiverse.
time was had by all.
Except the curtains.
Do the noise.
Sorry, Mick. We need to get... Yeah, please. Say again.
Multiverses.
That
Yeah.
seemed to like flash and then die. Do people still play that? Do people
I
still care about it?
really like multiverses.
Still like or liked? Do you still play it? Are you still?
That's
I never
unfair.
still
He's
play
not got.
anything.
That's going to say that's not fair because that's like saying the same thing to any of us. None of us have got time to be like, I'm
Okay,
into
that's fine.
multiverses
Alright.
and I play
But
this.
I think I'd say I've had like a couple of resurgences going back and enjoyed it when I've been able to, and like it's something it's not getting uninstalled anytime soon anyway.
Because isn't it a bit Smash? But just
It
with,
is
like,
very
loads
Smash,
of-
yeah.
Oh, it's like but for me, I stopped
Not
buying
good.
Smash games because I stopped having people to play them with, like well over a decade ago. So for me, I like hearing about multiverses and then being like, oh, this is Smash, but with all the like online hooks and all the like really well done online play. That means that I can sort of like that game again. And then alongside that, they also do like some clever stuff with like teamwork. Like it's almost the default mode's 2 versus 2, and every character has some way they can help the partner. And it's usually something simple enough that it translates to online. Sometimes you can have someone really shit with you. Of course you are. But I mean, like for me, it was just really nice to have a way to play a game like that you know had like a battle pass and daily quests and all these things that just made me come back. And like there was a solid month where I was like turning that on every day to make sure I got my dailies and just enjoying it every time. And I think the characters are really interesting too. I think there's kind of a bit more diversity in not just like where they're from, which also, to be fair, it's kind of wild to have like Bugs Bunny fighting people from Game of Thrones. Like that's fucking weird. But like every character is very different. There's a lot to learn when you're playing a character. So I think there's a little bit more complexity than Smash. Maybe just a touch, but I really enjoy
Who
it.
owns a lot? What are the licenses? Is it like
It's Warner Brothers,
It
mate.
is
It's
Warner
published by
Brothers, yeah.
Warner Brothers, yeah. Which means you are going to end up with a game where, well, in fact, already you can have a match with Arya Stark versus Rick from Rick and Morty, or Morty from Rick and Morty, I think it's, and
which
Bugs
is cool
Bunny,
as fuck, really.
and
okay.
Iron Giant, and
Gremlins.
Gremlins,
So
yeah,
it's-
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So does that stay? Is that are we keeping
I don't think
that
it goes
for now?
yet. Look, can we change tact a little bit, because there are 2 games on this list that are like locks, and we may as well just get that out of the way. Like, there's no way that Rainbow Six Extraction comes off this list. There is no way that Tiny Tina's Wonderlands comes off this list, right?
Agreed on both
I think
counts.
there's a third lock, but yeah.
What's the third lock?
He's going to say
Yeah.
Overwatch.
Oh, sorry. Shredder's Revenge. for
Oh,
me.
see, I think that's a cut.
I was
Really?
thinking that, but
I just think, I don't know. I just feel like we played that together.
No, no, no,
That's the beginning and ending piece. That's the beginning and ending piece.
Listen.
no,
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 but like,
no, but it is also still got to be
there has
like
to
a.
be an
told
element
me
of
you
that
loved
conversation.
me.
No,
when there's
but that's
games
why
that we
Rainbow
haven't
Six.
played
But that's why
with
Rainbow
each
Six
other.
and Tiny Tina's are here. Like, I think I agree with you, and I loved it, and I played it through with Steve from Discord. I think
Yeah.
I played it through 3 or 4 times. But in terms of like best multiplayer, it's a good game, really good game. But it's not like best. It's not for me. Yes, it was nice playing with you, but there's no way on earth that I could say, oh yeah, well it's better than Overwatch 2 for multiplayer. Overwatch 2 is a lock for me. That would be my third lock. Well, Switch Sports, obviously, but you know what I mean.
I think there's an argument for and against the idea that it stays on a list because you had a certain experience with it because of the people you played with, as opposed to it just does multiplayer well. Like, none of us have necessarily played, like we haven't played Nintendo Switch Sports, but already just from the way you describe it, we're talking about the best game of the year, or we're talking about the best multiplayer games of the year. We're not necessarily talking about the best experience we personally had. Maybe
No,
that
but
No,
counts,
but we are.
obviously.
We are.
Can't
But I would
decouple
also
them
argue
either,
that
because there's
Extraction.
there is a why we've played certain games.
Yeah, but
with
what
each
I'm
other
saying
and
is, I
why
think
we haven't.
Extraction and Wonderlands are also examples of best multiplayer, and they were experiences.
Oh no,
That's
I
my
know. and
point.
I'm not-
That's what I'm saying. I'm not disparaging Chris's opinion of the game. I'm just saying, like, is it is it a fantastic multiplayer game, or did you have a good time because you played together? What's
Yeah, the latter,
difference?
which can be enough, but for me, for this game, it's not. Whereas Extraction, I think, is like playing with you guys made that game for me, but I also think that game is a fucking brilliant co-op game. And same Tony Tina's playing through it with Chris Hyde, I think was one of my best experiences of the year in terms of multiplayer. But I also think they do that game. The multiplayer is best in. I feel dirty praising Gearbox, but it is best in class when it comes to co-op experiences.
Talk about where it ranks, and I've got stuff to say. I guess I think this game is much better in multiplayer than it is in solo. Shredder's Revenge.
See, I don't mind playing it solo if that makes sense. But I mean, I'm not saying
whenever
delete
I was
it.
playing it solo, I was like, it just feels better playing it. And comboing off each other, and
I'd rather keep TMT than COD.
Oh, COD is COD, right? Ain't it?
Jesus Christ!
I mean,
I said
No, Mick.
No,
COD is
but you
FIFA
know.
and FIFA is COD. Okay, just see.
All right, I know that. Fair enough. You can dismiss that, but it fucking is, isn't it? Like, what does COD do different any year? What does?
I have to say,
FIFA
this is
does
one
every
I
year.
have not played the multiplayer on. I have no interest in playing Call of Duty multiplayer anymore because
That's my point
I
is,
can't win anything. I can't get. I just have. It's a bit like, for me,
When's
this
the
is a
last time
series that needs a
also-
break. So
And also, when's the last time you switched COD multiplayer on any year and went, wow, this feels different? It's really good because it's COD.
well, I can't
It's
again.
like-
I can't comment because I haven't played it. But Chris Hyde, I know, plays it.
I know,
regularly.
and I'm not saying
I
it's bad. I'm
really like this
saying
COD. Sorry,
what's
carry on.
different? How is it any different to COD last year? Like,
Well,
in
let's
real
hear. Let's
terms,
hear.
like, what does it
I
do
like the
different?
guns. No. Okay, so
It's in the kicking of the football that is
Oh,
You're
how.
not going to tell me that they've
Don't.
really changed the mechanics or the modes.
No, but
or-
that's not
no,
fair.
no, and
Well,
okay,
is
so
it though?
Yeah,
Because
no,
is
that's
it
not fair because you could say that Tiny Tina's is just a shooter.
No, that's not
Overwatch
what
2
I
is
mean,
just
though.
a shooter. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't.
but Tiny Tina
start
does other
reductive.
elements. Like Tiny Tina does that drop in, drop out, where it does the story progression and things like that, which is different.
it does.
It's a different
I guess.
thing.
But
I
it's
guess
also
the
not
point
a
is
competitive shooter. It's a
It does also mean that means that this never wins.
I'm not saying
and
it
it's
can't.
never considered, and and that's the frustrating point. I think in terms of this game, in terms of multiplayer, I feel like I've played previous CODs where the shooting, we talked about it, that people just don't fucking drop, and that's not the case in this game. It feels like you shoot people, they die. There'll obviously be times where I'll blame that they don't, but that's not the case in this. From what
I would
gathered.
strongly argue that I feel the complete opposite way about Call of Duty to what you've just described. I would
This
argue
Call
that
of Duty?
you any Call of Duty, you said that people argue that people don't drop. I would argue that the time
No,
to
in
kill in Call of
previous
Duty is
games of this is what I'm saying versus Modern Warfare 2. That's what I'm saying.
what you're saying.
I think-
What people drop quicker in Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
That to me is the
Yeah, I don't
opposite
like
reason
it.
of why I want to play
Really
it. That's making me make sure I will never boot it. Like I would argue the time to kill is why I don't play COD anymore.
Okay. I don't know what to say to that. I'm like, what? You want bullet sponge when you're playing a
No, but I
multiplayer?
want to feel like I've got a chance. And I
mean, for me,
I'm
I
not
do
blaming
Why I like
COD.
Halo.
Yeah, I'm not blaming
I
COD.
prefer
I'm saying
Halo.
I'm not good enough and I'm too old and can't respond quick enough to the people who play COD. I'm not blaming COD or you. I'm saying I would.
No, I
it's
guess
the time
like,
to kill is what
it's
ruins
difficult
that
if-
for me.
I mean,
I
let's
think that's
face
why
it.
I've always preferred stuff like Halo, Destiny, that sort
guess-
of that
I guess,
multiplayer
like-
to COD.
It's difficult, right? Because you guys, and I use this word, but you guys clearly hate Call of Duty now at this
I
point.
don't hate it. I
No,
don't
no,
I'm
at all.
saying I'll use this word like as a just to get through my point, right? But you can pick and choose. You don't like it. Right?
I
You
don't
like,
enjoy
you won't
Call
pick
of
it up,
Duty
you won't try
multiplayer.
it. What's
I
that?
would play it.
I
I've
don't-
got nothing against it.
I
I'm
would
asking
say
what if it's the best is what I'm saying.
I would say I
Like,
don't enjoy Call of Duty multiplayer.
No,
And
definitely.
to the degree now I have been put off even attempting to try it each year. So I will play
That's
the
what I'm
campaign,
saying.
I will play zombies or whatever, whatever mode they've got this year that's like zombies or cooperative. I would I don't know what it would take for me to try the multiplayer now, if I'm honest. I don't know what anyone could say or say in a review that would make me go, this year might be the year. For the last 5 or 6 years, I've been sort of like, maybe this will be the year. And every time I play it, I'm like, nah, it's not the year for me. And
I don't play straightforward military shooters anyway. I just don't because I don't like the bang, they're dead, bang, you're dead, he's dead, you're dead. I don't like that quick. I like stuff. Like I said, Halo does.
It-
I mean, the
it-
same
it-
thing I would say is for
Very good.
Battlefield as well. Like Battlefield
It
is
Yes,
is, it is.
same, yeah.
I mean, what I will say is it's hard to say anything if I'm honest because it's like a brick wall. So
Sorry.
it's like no, but like there is no. I could say all the things that I like about it.
Is it in your top 5 then? Like, out of interest, like, would you have it
because
in
of
our?
the games I've actually played? I didn't connect with multiverses in the bit that I played with.
No, I was
Like,
going to
and I
ask you
wouldn't-
about that one as well, actually, because we did play a bit
I
of
didn't
that.
want to go back to it. It
No.
sounds like no one's going to back Shredder's Revenge, and I'm like, I didn't play Switch Sports, haven't played Splatoon, haven't played Overwatch 2, so I'm fucking glad the other two are locks because I'm like, it's not really.
Yeah,
my list
I've
anymore.
only played 2 games and they're both locked. So at this point, I don't.
You don't say you
I-
don't care. You just
No, not don't care. What I'm saying is, I can't really argue against anything.
No, and I
else
guess
that
this
you
is
guys
where
want.
this is where
Like, I
it's-
can't
it's-
even say to Chris, I don't want Call of Duty on the list because it might be fucking phenomenal. I just
I mean,
haven't played it.
I'm telling you now, after recording this pod, what I'm going to play tonight is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer with my friends, and I'm going to enjoy it. But like, I
pretty
can't,
much just
you know-
said there that we are not your friends, but that's okay.
You can have more friends than us, can't you?
Yeah,
No, but it was the
yeah,
way you
and
said
I
it with
do.
my
There's
friends.
a contract, Lyle. You haven't gotten it yet. You'll get it.
Can
So that's
can
why,
I ask?
That's
a-
why, so does it make my top 5? Yes, because I haven't played the others, and so, therefore.
but can I
these
ask you
games
what
go
you
with
would
it.
propose as an alternative cut, if that makes sense? Like,
I mean, I think multiverses has stayed on for too long, and I think no, Splatoon 3. I know it's added stuff, so it's difficult. But I mean, multiverses.
I'm
for me
okay
is the
with
first
Splatoon 3 going if that's
I
needs to
was
go.
going to basically say that in my time playing Splatoon 3, the new player experience, especially because I played quite late, was pretty bad. It
Really?
didn't really hook me at all. And I just got absolutely fucking battered in every match I played. But I played it like
Okay, then that's a
3 or
problem.
4
That shouldn't be the
months in,
case. That is
so-
not the intention. I will say that, a lot of stuff can happen when a game goes wider to everyone playing, but that shouldn't be the case because
Yeah.
it's supposed to be matchmaking. Like you can't even play certain modes until you get to a certain level. That shouldn't
No.
be happening to you, and that sucks. I will say I think Splatoon 3 is a phenomenal game. I reviewed it. There's no point me going on and on about it here, but like. There's also no point in arguing the fact that it's like revolutionary. It is to many people Splatoon 2.5. I disagree with that because I think the changes that have been made make it feel like a newer game. Like it feels like a complete game now for the first time. They've got there. Do you know what I mean? They've taken 3 games to get there, but they've got there. But as God is a Geek's best multiplayer, it's probably not on a top 5. Because if nobody else has played it, nobody else has desired to play it, and Lyle has had a bad experience with it, then it can't be. We've not played it together. We've not talked about it every week on the podcast. Oh yeah, what have we been doing this week? I've been playing Splatoon 3. It's not happened. Then I'm okay to delete it.
That's okay.
So what, should I cut
tell
it?
you what, yeah.
Go for it.
I'll tell you what, something's bugging me a little bit. I wasn't saying that I dislike the Call of Duty conversation. I wasn't saying that it necessarily shouldn't be on a list. Call of Duty multiplayer is world renowned as a good multiplayer experience, and if you like that sort of thing, it's pretty much the best you can get in terms of military shooters, arguably. So I'm not saying it's bad. My pure question was, what had it done differently? And like you said, that Splatoon 3 had done things differently to the other Splatoon games. So that was the question I was asking. It wasn't necessarily saying why does Call of Duty deserve to be on the list, but I don't know what else
Call of
to
Duty,
cut because I haven't played them.
I have to back Chris's side a bit here because Call of Duty is what it is. It is a yearly franchise. It is going to have new maps, returning maps. It's going to have ultimately the core first-person shooter speed of the combat, the time to kill. I don't like it. I cannot have a go at it for that because it is what it is. That's like
the game.
arguing with a colour that's blue and saying, I'm really annoyed that you're blue and not yellow. It is blue. Like, Chris, you're wearing a blue jumper. I can't be annoyed at that if I don't like blue.
gorgeous, isn't it?
It's lovely. But you can't, that it is what it is. It's not trying or claiming to be anything else. If Chris is saying that it does it exceptionally well,
I guess I'm coming back to the whole question of passion arguments again. That like we know we've got 2 locks. It feels to me like Nintendo Switch Sports and Call of Duty. People have had a very passionate opinion.
I was going to say,
Also,
if I'm getting to keep Switch Sports, I don't think we can just cut COD like that. It's not fair. Either they both go or they both
don't
stay.
necessarily think we can just cut multiverses. And I know that I haven't played it, but Lyle had quite an argument for it. So
Well, then
but
what
if
are
we-
we cutting?
Then
Well-
does that mean we cut Shredder's Revenge because no one has quite that level of passion, and then we fight out for the last cut next?
Well, that's what I would suggest because, in terms of, I mean, we haven't heard a lot from Whitey, so I don't know what he's thinking on this list. But I would say
He's
probably,
got a proper pensive stroke going on. I love it. He's like,
it seems to me like maybe
You are
Shredder's
pure
Revenge
filth
is the
tonight,
next-
Chris Hyde.
His stroke.
sorry, it
Everything
comes
you
naturally.
say
Oh my
is-
god! I just said it comes naturally.
God's sake, man.
Jesus.
Pensive
I suggest
stroke
that-
comes naturally.
I think
So shut up for the next half hour.
Just
I
can't
think
believe
Shredder's
it's-
Revenge is the next cut.
What would you sooner cut, Chris Hyde? Shredders or COD? Just having, just not that that's the argument. Just out of curiosity.
Shredders.
Okay.
Shredders, because, like I said, I enjoy the multiplayer of COD more.
I know I'm the contradicting myself from earlier, but sometimes eventually it has to come down to personal experience.
Well,
in-
of course
in a
it does. You
terms
can
of
only
this,
speak
because
for
what
them.
else can we?
I was
else
more
can you
coming
do?
at the
Sorry.
Shredders thing because I feel quite passionate. I say this pretty much every year when we get to multiplayer. I feel really passionate about the what we play together as a site.
Yes, I agree.
And I get really passionate about that because it's a bit I enjoy. I didn't do enough of it this year. We started really strong.
Yeah, we did.
And
yeah.
then we just fell by the wayside.
just got
played fuck
busy,
all
man.
together.
It's just life.
And it not upsets me, but I wish I played more things. Maybe I should have played fucking Nintendo Switch Sports if I had them a bit more. But I that's why I'm passionate about Shredders. Plus, it's a good game, really enjoyable, very
Really good
cathartic. Love it. You know, it's good, enjoyable to play.
Really good.
And
game.
we did it together and enjoyed it. We had a few nights together, and that was really, really good. Is it above the other two that we played together? No, the two lots we're talking about. It isn't, but it holds a special place in my heart because of it's the other game that we did that with. But I also, like you say, if is it that or Call of Duty, I'd cut Shredder's Revenge. So I think, and if no one else is going to fight for it, and we have to cut two more, I think, do we say we cut Shredder's Revenge, Chris White?
Yeah, I didn't play that in multiplayer. I played it single player.
Okay.
It's gone. It's gone.
So we've got one cut left.
Right.
Not talked about Overwatch 2.
Okay.
Who plays Overwatch 2? Chris, Adam,
I play.
who else?
Lyle,
I tried
Adam,
for a
Chris
little
White.
bit.
Right, so-
Oh yeah, Lyle tried.
It's a similar
Yeah.
argument to Splatoon 3 in a way because it's
Isn't it very much a remake of Overwatch 1? Correct me if I'm
No.
wrong, but
It's,
I've only heard snippets and read bits, so I
No,
don't
it's
play
not a
either.
remake of Overwatch 1. They
No,
changed
it's the
team
same-
composition
it's the-
entirely. It is not.
yeah, the whole point of this was they've got rid of one of the tanks, so it's now 4
It was
players. in the
5v5 when it was 6v6.
5 instead of 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got 4 outfields, and then you've got your tank. So 2 healers, 2 damage, and 1 tank. So, like team composition, you would have had 2 tanks back in the day. So there wasn't as much reliance on one
Teamwork.
specific tank.
Yeah.
So, you could have 1 tank going right into battle, and the other one kind of hanging back and trying to focus on the objective with a couple of them. But now you've got this 1 tank, so it's very particular how you play, who would be the best kind of character to pick for the tank. And I think the way it completely changes how every mode is now and how you have to play. And like that team ideal will, I mean, if you're playing with people it's infinitely better because there's always going to be those that play this game and just run off, fuck off. They get one of the damage dealers and they just run and do damage. They don't think about the team. So yeah, it can be annoying, but when you've got that team in place, like I remember playing matches where you've got like I'm Moira mainly, and like you've got Diva doing all the work at the front, and as long as you're a healer, you're not damaging all the time, and you're thinking, it just becomes such a smart game. And when everyone's in sync with each other and you get that victory, it means so much more than when other people in your team are pissing about.
Are you saying that you actually heal as Moira?
Yeah, I
Because
know.
Then holy shit, we need to play together more because most people do not do that.
No,
and that
this is
joy
what
to
I mean,
hear.
though. This is what I mean. They don't.
So they
don't
treat
play to
Moira
their
as a damage
strengths.
rather than a support.
Yes, she does. She does a lot of damage, and she can do a lot
But
of damage.
she's a
but
support
she's not-
character.
She's not a damage dealer because
Why
her
aren't
main.
we playing Overwatch 2 together anyway? That's actually now I think about it.
I don't know, but like, I
I
like
always really want to play it when I hear
like the
people talk about
the
it.
new
That's
mode
fucking
push
brilliant.
isn't like going to
I
change
just find it such a
anything
wall to get
massively.
into.
No,
I can tell you about the wall to get into if you would like, because although it took a while for me to actually get it to work because of the launch, as we talked about on day one, it all melds together.
Yeah.
Even just trying to play as a new player, like they tried to make it more new player friendly by locking characters, but there's still like 12 plus characters you can pick from the start, and you can still be facing any of the other characters in Overwatch. And if your experience is anything like mine, you don't have a fucking clue what's going on and why you're getting battered all the time. They've not made it new player friendly at all. They don't really teach you much. They give you a screen to of descriptions of the abilities and just kind of like hope you have a bit.
But there
of a
is
fucking
practice
dictionary time.
ranges, and you can play versus
Well, yeah,
bots,
and I was always I did the practice range with every character before I went out.
Yeah, so
and
you
I
can
think
test
it
them
helps
out,
in terms of that. But like, there are locked characters that you'll still meet when you're out and about, and you won't know how they work.
I'm not
And I
defending them because I'll never defend Blizzard and Activision, but I'm not sure what more they could do aside from like when the single player campaign comes out. I'm guessing there'll be some element of that.
Yeah, I
I think this is an
help.
issue though with anybody that plays
This is
consistent online games. This is going to
Yes.
be an issue. Like
it's
if
why I
took
don't
you
play
guys-
COD. I'd have to relearn
Yeah.
everything, whereas I
Like I couldn't, you guys
you
couldn't
know.
come, and you wouldn't, I know, but you guys couldn't come and play Destiny.
no
2
God, I
with
did
me in
try. I
multiplayer.
did try, and I'm like, what the
And
fuck is going
because-
on? This
exactly,
isn't Destiny
because-
I don't know what
anymore.
you mean. I'd be great.
And
I've got fucking lightning reactions. Apparently,
You are good. No, look,
No, but
I
think-
can't picture a list. This game's not on.
No,
I
and-
Well,
fucking
this is the
can't.
thing. That's why I wanted to hear what Chris Wright thought of it, because you hadn't spoken much about all of these games, and I knew that Overwatch 2 was going to be one that you'd have a proper opinion on. Because I don't know these games. Like
But
I wish I
Overwatch-
did, because there's
Overwatch
be honest,
2
it
is
seemed like-
objectively the best multiplayer game on this list. Objectively. Now, obviously, we're not doing that because Rainbow Six and Tony Tina's are subjective opinions because you played them together. But if you were to just go objectively, which is the best multiplayer game on this list, is Overwatch 2.
And what I will say is, because I haven't played it, and I know it is the game on this list that I haven't played, or maybe of the three that I haven't played a lot of. So I throw Motorverses in there as well, because I played a bit of the demo, early access, whatever it was.
Beta,
with
yeah.
you, Adam. Like, it's of the three, the one that I would want to start playing the most.
I
Like,
always
it's-
really want to play Overwatch,
Yeah.
and I just
and-
don't.
but
It's
free
I
now,
would
you can,
caveat
it's
that
free.
with
I know I downloaded it. I just haven't
I
played
would-
it. I've got it.
I would caveat it with only if I played it co-op with like you guys.
But
and someone was
sorry.
helping me.
Lyle sort of... I feel like you and he are alluding to the same point. What you've both sort of said in a roundabout thing there, that's describing every multiplayer game for me now. Now, I'm getting old and grumpy. I don't want to play a team-based multiplayer game with random people ever again. Ever again.
feel like
I
you've
want
gotta
to play
come
with my
into them.
friends, and I want someone like when I played it with some of the Discord peeps like McPoo, and I want him, because he's got better knowledge of the game, to tell me, even though I'm very well versed in Overwatch, I want him as someone better than me to say, give this person a go because it's a good counter. Because I just don't have the time to keep up on the meta of any game.
To be clear, like I wouldn't play anywhere near as much Call of Duty if I wasn't with my mates and we were talking. We played Domination, which is like co-op essentially.
Yeah.
Like so it's in that sense it's very similar. Like we're not playing like free for all or anything. So yeah, I am very much. I
don't think I play multiplayer without friends.
I'm very much a co-op, talk to each other.
Well, when we played FIFA, it was you, me, and Chris.
Yeah.
I don't. I
I'm
appreciate
championing
what
Overwatch
Lyle's.
here. I don't
No,
know
I
what-
know, but I'm saying in terms of Lyle's point, I appreciate what he's saying about the new player experience. I think that's, for me, most multiplayer games now, which is why I stay away from them. If you're saying it's particularly egregious and particularly bad, then fair enough. I can't speak to that because I played Overwatch. I didn't get the onboarding. Chris White did. I don't know what it changed between... You know
Most
what I mean?
games struggle with onboarding a year or so into their life. A lot of them do, like nearly all of them. They can't do that because the game has evolved. They can't even tell you anymore what the basics are, because the basics often don't exist anymore because you've got metas and you've got new special loadouts, or you've got
which
so I do
Overwatch
think-
2's, by the way, changes all the time. Though. It's literally as we record it, it's changed again.
Exactly, and so does Call of Duty, so does Destiny, so does Battlefield. Those games that are persistent, the metas change weekly. They update them constantly. They nerf things. They buff things. So you're always going to have that. I get Lyle's point 100% because I feel the same about certain games. But I don't know if you can...
It's not unique to Overwatch 2, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can tear down a game. I don't say tear down. I'm not sure that you can necessarily... I'm not sure you can necessarily criticise a game strongly for that, because I think that's just a common problem of the genre. And I do feel like also people that jump into these games because that's their genre, that's what they want to do. They want to play multiplayer shooters. They want to play. I think they just sort of get on with it, because people do come to Overwatch new and get to grips with it.
We are all in a unique position. Lyle, you are the same in that you sit down to play Overwatch 2, but unlike, hate to say average Joe on the street, but you know what I mean. Unlike someone who is reviewing games, you know
be playing something else tomorrow.
You have finite time to play Overwatch 2 for fun.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I very rarely review multiplayer-based games. The reason I chose to do it with Overwatch 2 is because I knew it was the only fucking way I was going to get to play a game that's multiplayer for a length of time that I was excited about. It is a unique problem to people in our industry and position. Like Mick says, if you weren't reviewing loads and loads of games, I wonder. That's neither here nor there. Hypotheticals.
100%. And alongside that as well, I think it's also worth mentioning that, to be honest, Overwatch 2 didn't exactly start the best for me in terms of because of the launch too.
A lot of
I
people.
don't think yeah,
and that gave you a sour taste
100%.
initially. It's going to be difficult, maybe.
My time's limited. I'm also not able to play it and trying, and it's wasting more of my time. And then when I get into it, I'm trying to play it on my own. All of those mashed together. Yeah. I think it should still be on the list. I just also thought that was it's worth.
Oh, it's absolutely worth saying because I
think far as first person game. Sorry, Mick.
No,
just as far as first person games go, Overwatch has got one of the most welcoming communities as well. No, it has. It has. Okay. Yeah, I find it.
I can't speak to that. I can only speak to the past, as it were.
In terms of new players not having all the characters, there's so many characters. Why are you going to need them all? Like, it gives you all the.
Lyle's saying the fact is that he's playing against those characters, and he can't play as them, so he doesn't understand them.
No, I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying in terms of learning the ropes.
Oh fuck, there's plenty to get started with.
There's plenty to get started. Even the ones you start with potentially are better than the ones you unlock. And it's all personal preference.
I'd argue 2 of each would be enough. Just give someone, say, 2 here, 2 damage, 2 tank, 2. I'd say 6 would be enough to start with.
And I think the modes that they've got, like the practice mode, so you can go in with other people and play against AI. It just gives you, and the practice range as well. You've got a lot of opportunities to learn the ropes before you get stuck into competitive gameplay.
When I'll get into this game, when the campaign launches.
Yeah, you will. Yeah,
I'll play the campaign, and then I'll play the multiplayer because I'll understand what I'm doing.
Not to hurry us along here, because that's not the way we do things. However, I think we're at the point of critical mass here, where we need to sort of vote a game out, because no one's going to argue Rainbow Six Extraction out. We'll talk about it why, but I think they're very personal experiences and how we played them together. And Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is the same for Chris and I, but also I think you have to add to that it is the best implementation of co-op in any multiplayer game. Like, how they do it is exactly how, if you could sit down with a developer and say, these are the requirements to make this the best implementation. To be clear, I'm talking about mechanically under the hood, how it matches save games from different worlds, levels, how it does that. It is the exception. We were at one point due to interview them, if I recall correctly, and it all fell apart. And I'm really disappointed by that, because I genuinely wanted to speak to them and talk about how they got to there, how they got to that point of this is the co-op, because it's just every little bit that they've sort of cherry picked, that bit's good in that game and that bit's good, but they gone, no, to make it the co-op game, we need all of this, and they did that. So there's no way those two are getting argued out, and they're both brilliant games anyway. These other 4 are all like Overwatch 2, like me and Chris are sort of strong on it, and Switch Sports is just me, COD's just Chris. Multiverses is kind of just Lyle. So I think we're at the critical point where if we don't, we have to vote a game out and kind of accept that's where we're going.
I think
Otherwise,
the vote's fair at this
we're not
point.
getting out of
Yeah.
this category with our skin. So rather than sit on the fence, I'll be number 1, and I'm going to make my vote. And as soon as I said that, I looked at 2 games and I'm like,
Was that as a very dramatic pause after you said I'm going to make my vote?
it was fear. It was fear. I suddenly was like, shit. Well, I'm going to upset 1 or 2 people here, and shit, I'm frozen. Someone else is going to have. It's multiverses.
Multiverses.
Multiverses for me, I think. No,
And me.
no, it's not. It's COD for me. It's COD for me. I'm sorry.
Be honest, man. That's what it is.
It's COD for me
That's what it is.
because I can't speak to it, because I have got a bee in my bonnet about it. It's not COD's fault. It's mine. I'm frightened of getting older because it's happening. But I actually like multiverses because there have been other games that do smash. There was one this year, in fact, I think, and the Nickelodeon one, wasn't there? Or was that last year?
I think so.
But they could have done that and just lived off the fact that they were like, we got Arya Stark, we got Rick and Morty, Bugs Bunny, and they actually did that and went, what if we made it so certain characters work better because of the co-op? And I think that actually warrants a little bit of a like, well done, you could have been lazy and you could have done fuck all and you could have nickel and dimed the hell out of people with those characters. Instead, you made a really good game. And it's got really interesting mechanics, and you took what people know of Smash, but you went, but what if? You didn't just go, is Smash with Warner Brothers? You went, what if Smash, but co-op? So I'm going to vote for Call of Duty. So I'm sorry. So Chris Hyde, your vote's next.
I mean, it's obvious, you know, I've been saying it for about half hour.
No,
Multiverses.
you can vote for Switch Sports. You can vote for anything.
No,
you want.
No.
No.
No, I
All right,
think
Kratos.
I think that the Switch Sports belongs on this list for the reasons you articulated what seems like a long time ago.
It feels like ages ago.
Yeah. So
My thing is that if you put those 4 games in front of me and said you must choose to play, or you must choose to play them, which are you going to play last? I'd play Multiverses last. I didn't even want to play it at all. I don't like Smash.
Your vote
no,
for...
that's the same for me.
That's
For the
my
I've
thing.
got 3 because I play Call of Duty, and I'm doing it like that as well. I'm like, I want to play Overwatch 2 first, then I want to play Nintendo Switch Sports, and then there's a big gap, and then I want to play Multiverses.
So just to be clear,
That's
Mick, your vote is for Multiverses.
My vote is for Multiverses.
Lyle, do I
because
need to
don't-
ask?
I don't play
I mean,
those
You
just-
games.
don't need to ask. Mine's Call of Duty.
Okay, just for clarity. Well, Chris White.
Decider.
We've sort of all had a bit of a decider, but this time it's you, mate.
I played Call of Duty for review when it was in its infancy with the amount of people playing it, and I could see the changes and there's a lot of for the hardcore COD fan base, they have made a lot of changes to the way you level up your weapons and your parts for your loadouts, and that's quite a big deal for certain people. I also think they've done a lot. Verticality helps to mitigate the campers and the choke points and the different ways to approach them as well. So I would say Multiverses is my vote.
Oh, we were close.
It's gone.
Almost got snuck in there.
I think.
I think you
just
could
to
change 1
carry
and
this
2.
on, I think, are we saying therefore that Call of Duty is locked at 5?
I'd say that order, if you swapped 1 and 2, is
Adam's
bang on.
happy.
I think that's the list.
What, as it is, or
I
would you
think-
swap 1 and 2?
Listen, personally, I'd swap 2 and 3. But,
I'd swap 1 and 2.
I mean, I
Yeah, I
wouldn't be
think I'd
upset
swap 1 and
about
2.
that.
I think Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and Rainbow
For me,
Six
Tiny
Extraction-
Tina's Wonderlands is.
Did
You
it-
started to say it, Adam. For me, it's everything you cry out for in a co-op multiplayer experience. Everything. With so many times when we were playing that game, going, yes, this is how it should be. We should have crossover of completion of missions and collectibles and progress, and the leveling of weapons and shit and enemies means that you can bring someone in. Like, I think we've been playing it for ages. Chris White jumped in at level 3 or something, and he's like, oh shit, what's going to happen here? Either we're going to fucking walk it or he's going to get killed in seconds. And we were allowed to we play with him because it's automatically, it's honestly, you're sitting there thinking, I remember how frustrated I was with like Far Cry 6 and stuff, and all the stuff that did wrong. And this game just goes, no, it is simple when you understand what matters about co-op stuff. I just think,
on top of which, it's also a very funny, very enjoyable, and to play together. You feel like you're experiencing things together and discovering things quite often.
Yeah, I loved Rainbow Six Extraction and what we did, and it's a very good example.
I think I was the bigger fan of that overall.
I think that's fair.
I think that's probably fair. I do think that there are certain.
Although I did give it a big fat 9, I think,
the types of missions that I really enjoyed in that, and I love the co-op aspect and the communication aspect, and where we got to by the time we stopped playing it more than we, when we kind of stopped the kind of constant time of playing it, how we got certain missions down and we had like strategies and stuff, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it because you had to work together, you had to talk to each other, because we had some fucking failures where Mick used to just storm off or stand in a fucking doorway.
I didn't cause failures. I saved your ass just as
No.
Yes,
I'm sorry, Mick. I love you to bits,
Mick gone? Oh, he's over there shooting things.
If I breach a room, everything dies in that room. Maybe
no, but the thing about breaching a room is you have to tell other people you're going to do it.
Yeah,
so we are aware you're going to do it.
I don't want to interfere with your loving in the corner.
Well, no, that's what it was, because we would literally, in-game, our avatars would turn and look at each other as if we were in the room and go, that's our Mick. It's like that fucking Family Guy moment where it's like, that's
incapacitated over here, right? Fucking brilliant.
Anyway, look.
I like the list.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
But then also, I wouldn't have argued too hard if you had wanted to swap 1 and 2 because
no, but again, I think
the
perfection of implementation is warranted.
Yeah,
but Lyle is.
I was just going to say I didn't really like Tiny Tina's Wonderland at all, but in terms of best multiplayer and what it does to make co-op seamless, I also kind of can't argue with it. I'd maybe argue with it in terms of like when we were on like a game of the year list,
best game,
best game. But what it does for multiplayer, like you kind of can't argue with how it makes that function so seamlessly. So like I'm not too annoyed about it.
Right. Is anyone against those being locked in and moving to the next category for day 3?
No.
5th place, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. 4th place, Nintendo Switch Sports, which everyone on this podcast is going to go and buy immediately after this podcast.
I really want to play it, yeah. No.
In 3rd place is Overwatch 2, which everyone is going to go and download for free after this podcast. In 2nd place is Rainbow Six Extraction, and the winner of Best Multiplayer is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. How about that?
I like that list.
Yes, I do too. Which is good, isn't it? Because if we all hated it, we probably would have done a good job.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
So, day 3, the final category, the second category, is Best New Character. Last year's Best New Character was Colt from Deathloop.
It was Deathloop.
Oh, yeah.
They were 1 and 2, weren't they?
And I don't know how we decided that. I'd have to go back and listen. But Juliana, number 2. Shion from Tales of Arise.
About it for about half hour, I remember.
Kasani from Scarlet Nexus.
Glass houses.
And Dr. Hakim from It Takes Two.
Really tried to get rid of fucking Hakim.
Yeah.
Was it?
Well happy that made it in.
I actually agreed with Lyle on that one, to be fair.
We did, yeah. A rare.
It was funny.
Right, Best New Character nominations. I'm going to butcher some of these names, so when people say them later, we'll probably get them right. Blade from Elden Ring, Valentine from... Do you know what? Before I go any further, sorry, this is the point in the week's deliberations that Lyle starts yawning.
Well, you know,
but also that there's... We're not just going to go like blurt out a spoiler, but there's potential for spoilers because we're talking about characters and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, sorry. Best nominations are Blade from Elden Ring, Valentine from Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Dragonlord from Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Savathun from Destiny 2, The Witch Queen, Neon White from Neon White, Angraboda from God of War Ragnarok, Heimdall from God of War Ragnarok, Serenoa from Triangle Strategy, Viola from Bayonetta 3, Caitlin from The Quarry, Randy the Rad from Nobody Saves the World, Mio from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Hunter from Marvel's Midnight Suns, Anu from New Tales from the Borderlands, and Marissa Marcel from Immortality. There we go.
It's a range of characters, isn't it?
I've got an easy cut, I think,
Yeah.
and that's only because it's a player created character,
Hunter.
and you can kind of take it either
I was
way.
going to ask that
It's
question, to
Hunter.
be honest.
Because you can play her. Mine was female.
See,
And I
mine
think
was male.
Canonically, in a lot of the marketing, it's a woman,
female.
right?
Yeah.
But I mean,
Light
you
or
can go
dark.
light, dark. You can be snidey. So I think
There's so many dialogue
character-wise-
options in that game, like because there's.
Yeah.
I don't know about how you played when you got further in, or you, Chris White, but like often I would go light or dark, depending on what I wanted to get. But what I found is that towards the latter stages, actually neither of them were right for me, and the reason you're kind of choosing light or dark is to almost
Because you want the
tell
outfit, or you want the.
well, no,
That's what I
you want the friendship improvements, and sometimes those answers like I'm not going to get a +2 here for friendship, so I'm going to have to. So like, there's 4 options and they're all viable, but that does mean that you are playing very much a created character in like a Mass Effect style. It would be like giving Shepard best new character.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Which-
no, yeah, that's fair.
Easy.
Easy one, easy. Caitlin from the Quarry, Chris Hyde.
Yeah, so I think
Which one's Caitlin?
Don't know. That's why I asked him.
she is Brenda Song.
Nope,
That's
doesn't help me. What
Google.
colour hair's she got?
Blonde.
Dark.
Oh,
Where is she on the cover?
Okay.
I'm looking
I
at the
think
cover.
I know
That's not going to help.
I think I know.
Of
which
course, I don't know
one.
where
No,
she's on the cover. No, I don't know.
Why is she great?
So I put this one in because I feel like she.
Oh, okay.
I think of all the cast of The Quarry, she is, I believe, the most believable character in terms of kind of, I guess, the dialogue and also the delivery of the
bit
the
dull
kind
though,
of
isn't she?
Is she? Do you know what we're talking about?
Caitlin.
We were talking. I remember us talking about her being a really interesting character on the launch. Are you thinking of a different character? Or are you?
No, I've just looked at a picture of
Oh,
her.
I quite liked Caitlin. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't dislike her. I'm just saying.
No, I don't feel like she's that important.
I mean, the danger.
Character of the year. That's the
No,
question.
I don't think she compared to some of these. No, I don't believe so. And I think it was more. I felt that that her character kind of jumped out compared to the others, but it's still one of 13 or however many characters are in there.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
In something like, with the other like antagonists and stuff that are kicking around, that you don't control. But I thought that her, I guess, kind of, mocap and delivery and all that sort of stuff combined was the best in The Quarry. I think she delivers the lines really well, and I think she was interesting and believable. And sometimes, if I'm honest, with some of those Dark Pictures games, you get that person's looking a bit weird, almost not right into camera, or reacting a bit weird, and hers are all sort of nailed on to the point. So I think she's the best character in that game. I do not believe that she's top 5 material for best character of the year, but I did want to give it a shout out.
I
Absolutely
prefer
fair
Dylan,
point.
but
Dylan.
also fine.
So
I'm gonna go hard and go after the God of War characters and talk about them. I'm not saying we're going to cut them or anything like that.
Right. It's not really going hard then. It's just kind of that's soft as soft, isn't it?
Well, all right then. I would cut Angerboda if we're going there. But I was just going to ask, like, is there a reason why Thor's not on? Is it because he's not a new character?
Technically, he's in the game before.
Yeah, that was why I didn't put him on.
Technically,
Yeah,
he is in the game.
Right.
He's not really introduced though, is he? In the first one, much.
I mean, it's a geezer who turns up with a fucking hammer that's like electrified. If you're playing that, and you don't know that store.
Character-wise, what I'm saying is you don't see nothing of his character in the first game, really, do you?
Mate,
You don't
that
get
is
his-
stretching it beyond. Like,
but I mean
he's
that is the
not
reason
you.
why I didn't add him. To be fair,
That's not stretching it.
It is for me. It is
you
for
see
me.
him.
Yeah, so
Why?
he's not
'Cause
new
you don't
then, is
get-
he,
you
in the
don't
second
get-
game?
You know nothing about him in the first game, do you? That's like if you saw a picture of him
Don't
on
know
someone's
nothing.
wall, but then he's introduced in the second game.
Look,
not
if people
arguing
want to
with you,
add him,
I'm
fine. But I
saying-
think that's
I'm
not.
not saying you should add him, but I don't think that, like, character-wise, I'm saying that it's not fair to say he's in the first game because he turns up at the end.
No,
with a
but you
hammer
are
for, like, a
ignoring the
second.
word "new." That's also part of the award. He's not a new
just think-
character. He is in
No,
the
fair
game.
enough. Okay, I don't care either way. I'm just saying. that
I
you
love the
can't-
fact
I
that we
just don't
argue
think-
shit that we don't actually care about. I think it's great.
My
But
question
nobody
is,
else
what's
was
the point
arguing.
no, but sometimes it's just very dismissive of a point, and I think that's a fair point that you don't see anything of his character beyond a big guy holding a hammer. I mean, he could be the same as Chris Hemsworth's Thor, for all we know. When you see him at the end of that, you don't know the difference. Is what I'm saying. If you're talking character-wise, his character is introduced in Ragnarok.
I agree, but it.
So no, I get what you're saying, but I'm also saying the character. We're not just talking about the picture of the dude or what he looks like or the fact he's got a hammer. His attitude, his character is what he is
part
to
of
the
this,
story.
but it is also the new character. So it's like
fair
I totally appreciate what you're saying. It's not introduced in terms of who he is or what kind of person he is, but he is not new. I mean, if you guys think he is, then I'll be outvoted.
No,
But
I don't want to become an argument, but I just felt it was a bit dismissive to say he's in the because isn't it like almost post credits in the first game? Like it's just a flash that you could even miss, I guess, possibly. Like, that's my point. But if you don't want to add him, and also it's a character that I would argue probably deserves his due because his character is cool as fuck. But again, if he's not new, that's fine, and we can move on. If
you guys want him in, then put him in. But I don't.
I mean, I don't necessarily.
I don't think any of those two characters are like worthy of best new character, are they?
Angraboda was one I put on there, but I don't know who put Heimdall on there.
I put Heimdall on there. I'm happy to talk about it. I think the best. Listen. Right, let's be really, really clear about it. The best characters in God of War Ragnarok are unfortunately not the new ones.
Kratos, Atreus, Freya,
Thor,
and
Whitey, the silent assassin, strikes again.
The reason I put Heimdall in is because he was the one I had the most emotional reaction to, because I wanted to punch his fucking face in every time he opened his mouth, because of that. That's how his character is designed in terms of the foresight and being antagonistical and all, whatever the word is, to wind up, Atreus and Thrud and everyone else, and it made things. I'm not going to say what I was going to say because that's a spoiler. I don't need to say, but in terms of how. My emotional reaction to that character, I was like, I've actually got some emotional character. I didn't have an emotional reaction to Angraboda. And so when I was thinking about Ragnarok, I was like, what's the most emotional reaction of a character that I had? And it was Heimdall by a mile, because I fucking hate him.
Angraboda sets everything kind of in motion in a lot of ways.
Oh, I know, but in terms of a character that I agree with you story-wise.
And I think will be more going forward. I think there will be more. I don't know what they'll do for God of War 3. New 3, but I would imagine Angraboda will be part of Atreus' story going forward.
Of that I have no doubt, but I guess in Ragnarok, I don't believe it came across as the best character. That in my eyes, I would argue there was a more, I guess, rounded character in Heimdall for me. That
I feel really, really wrong having him as on the list of best anything because I hated that cunt.
Oh, but that's why I put him on there.
I get what you're saying, but I still feel objectional to
hating a
I don't even giving the bastards giving him some credit.
But that's why he's on the list, because he did.
No, that's fair.
Resonated.
It's a fair point.
I wouldn't say it's like Percy in The Green Mile. He was an absolute cunt, but he's probably one of the best characters in the film.
Sometimes you can like the villain, like sometimes that's a possible thing.
I really didn't like Heimdall, sorry.
It can be hard to make you hate someone.
But then is that if he's the best at being a cunt, he's still a cunt, so you still don't like him, you still don't consider him.
I don't think he is, though. I think there's another character in the game that's a bigger one than he is. Even I think there's a more loathable person in the game than Heimdall. I don't want to spoil anything really at this point, but I do think like the character's whose name begins with an O is much, much worse.
I disagree, and we'll get to that.
Did you miss all the things he's done?
No.
Did you manage to not hear any of the dialogue about all the people he has abused?
Do you want to have this conversation now?
No,
it's not on the list, so there's no point.
What about a squirrel?
Yeah, let's just put Ratatoska. Let's put Ratatoska on there and call it a lock.
Yeah, let's do it.
Actually, Ratatoska I'd rather have on there than these two.
He's great.
Bit of squirrel.
Are we cutting them? Are you cutting them both then?
I don't
Do you
know.
think?
Are we? I'd say
them both,
cut them,
have
but put
thought.
Ratatoska in there and keep it.
Yeah, I would.
I wouldn't, but
Can we cut Viola from Bayonetta 3? Because nobody but me probably even cares, and I don't think it's a very good new character. Without spoiling the story completely,
She should.
she's. I just don't. I'll spoil if you want, but I don't think it's necessary in this juncture.
if you put it on,
I think
then
I did.
And
even
you
care
don't
that
think
much,
she
I think it's a
stays,
cut,
yeah.
right?
Well, Lyle's played Bayonetta 3, haven't you, Lyle?
Yeah, I've played. I didn't play that much, and to be honest, the story side didn't ever grab me that much. So it certainly wouldn't be me keeping it on.
Go on. Can we talk about the Destiny 2 character that you try and get on every year, Mick? Because it's your thing to try and get a Destiny 2 character on
Yeah,
this
I
list
did
every
laugh
year.
when that came on the list. I was like, cheers,
Because
Mick.
they have some good characters.
I'm sure.
See, last year Mick added a character from Destiny 2, and I thought his
right.
argument seemed pretty sound, and I wanted to back him, but it didn't really go very well. Like,
Well, it won't because
Dr.
Adam
Hakeem
hates
stayed
Destiny
instead.
2, so I can never
Yeah.
win. I can never win an argument on Destiny 2. I don't even try. But again,
Bungie hate
Put a
Destiny
pod
2.
operator
What
on
do you
here,
mean?
But I didn't think I had a chance.
but again, their writing, Bungie's writing, and especially character arcs of certain characters have been consistently good for the last couple of years. You can say what you want about the rest of the game, you have, but we're talking about characters, we're talking about writing. Bungie have done a very, very good job for the last almost 24 months of growing not just the lore, but the ongoing story and developing the characters. And last year, Crow was one of them. He's got a proper arc, and the way it feeds into the lore that's come before and the stuff that's coming. The Crow, yes. I'm talking about last year.
Oh, right, sorry, I was confused.
Because I'm comparing it to...
Right, apologies.
the same
I was
thing
just
with
confused for a
Savathun.
minute there. I got lost.
So the thing about... The reason I put Savathun on the list is because she's a character that has been mentioned in the lore forever. So probably you could argue she's not new, but she's never been in the games. She's never been featured in the game. She's always been just one of the part of the background lore of Destiny 2. And for building up to the Witch Queen, there was a lot of talk about this character, and everybody was waiting for her to be introduced, waiting for her to finally come into the story and see what she could do. And there was a lot of stuff that Bungie did quite cleverly to build anticipation for the character. They did things like there was a song, the Song of Savathun, which has been in Destiny for a long time in the lore. You could hear that song, and throughout the course of like quite a long time, you would walk around the tower or anywhere, and people would be singing the song or they'd be humming the song. And there was this whole thing they built into Savathun was controlling people, and they built this up and they built it up and they built it up, and then when they finally revealed Savathun, when she came into the story in the Witch Queen, it was one of those things where I thought that it's just going to be another big talky Destiny boss like Oryx was or whatever. And she wasn't. She was like an incredibly nuanced character. She had a hell of a lot more to her than just being another Destiny villain, another god that we had to kill, because that's what Destiny is. You just kill god after god after god. That's kind of what the whole point is. So I get that she's not going to stay on the list. I get that no one else is going to back me, but I got to give Bungie props, and I have to do it every year because no one else will, because they are doing a fucking great job with the story. They are doing a really good job with the writing, and that's what this is about. It's about the characters. And Savathun was a fantastic character, and she was quite a tragic character. And I think that she deserved a mention. I mean, you can take her off because I'm not going to win her and get to keep her, but you can dismiss it if you want, and I know you tend to with Destiny 2, and that's fine. But there's things that Bungie get right with this game. There's a lot they get wrong, but there's things they've got right, and they've been deliberately trying to get better. And one of those things is the characters and the way they build them. Because I said the thing about Kaital, but she came into it last year with Crow, so it's worth me arguing that she deserves to be on a short list.
Let's keep her for now, and let's answer this question: is Angraboda being cut?
It sounded like it, right?
Yeah. I've added Ratatoska because do you know what? I actually think of the new characters, to be very clear, I think it's great, and he's got like real shades of everything. Like, you know, you talked about Bitter Squirrel, but the point is Bitter Squirrel is part of Ratatoska, and I won't spoil. He actually does explain later. I don't know if you've seen this, Chris Hyde, because it might be optional. I don't even know if you have, Chris White. He does explain what the parts of him are, what they are, why they're like that, what happens, how he copes with it all, and it's like, oh my god, okay, this is way more than I expected from a fucking talking squirrel that looks after the world tree. Like, he explains, for example, like, if I don't want to spoil, do I need to say any more? If I have to say, I will.
I mean, what I will say is, no, I haven't experienced that, which is why when you said it, I was like, "Are you fucking joking?"
No, he goes into like Bitter Squirrel. He talks about Bitter Squirrel, and there's like an anxious, not anxious. What do they use? What's the
I
term
haven't
they
got
use?
there yet, so
No.
I can't.
It must
No,
be side content. It must be.
It is, but a lot of his content is actually like there's one to return the, I don't know what they're called, but like the thing you put in like the Ghostbusters box.
Yeah. The Nidhogg.
Yes, Nidhogg's.
Yeah.
The baby Nidhogg's.
Lindworm.
That's it. There's another one we have to return the deers or stags of the seasons, and all of these add flavour, text, and colour to his character. Colour, I say colour because they're like literally red and blue. But he goes into a lot of it, and one of the things I particularly like about God of War generally is that there's stuff you go back to like well past the credits, and you just like. So where Angraboda is, for example, I won't say any more than that, but where you mainly interact with her for the longest period, you can go back there post-game, and she's there, and you can talk to her and explore that area as the person at the end of the game. There's quite a bit of that in God of War, but there's a lot of it for Ratatoska, and do you know what? I think his character's fantastic. It's like it adds a bit of levity, but it also adds pathos, and it's just really, really well done. I can't believe I'm talking
the
about
Abby
the squirrel.
effect for me.
Yeah.
You know, Last of Us, when you start playing as Abby, you're like, oh, if I was going to be Ellie, who's this character? And by the end, you're like,
yeah,
Jesus, Abby's like a much better character than I ever thought. Yeah. When he turns up, I'm like, oh, great, fucking talking squirrel. But then, like, as you learn more about him and you interact with him, and like the viral clip of the Kratos throwing the axe at his wind chime, amazing.
Yep.
It's just you keep throwing at him, and you gradually get more pissed off.
Yep.
Like just little things like that make him a great character.
I think he's a lock for me. I know what you've said, Chris. I understand everything you've said about Heimdall, but I would happily say goodbye to him and not think about him ever again. so
I mean, from what I've experienced with the squirrel, I'd say the exact same thing about him because I haven't seen any of the stuff that you guys are talking about. So my experience of him is.
I feel funny having a character like Heimdall on here that.
Yes.
And again, I've not met the character yet, so I can't really comment on the character. But it seems to be that he's on here because Chris hates him. And
no, I'm on. Yes, but not because it's done badly, because it's done well. Like
I find it strange to have a best new character be someone who's like the character might do what he does very well. But I find it weird to have one of the best new characters be a character that is on
you
here
actively dislike. And to be 100% clear, I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
and like that is a mark of how well done he is.
And I would
doesn't change the fact I don't like using the phrase best.
I would say if you were crediting the director or the actor behind him, I'd say that was more than the character himself, because I'm not. Because there are likable villains. There are villains that are so bad and so despicable, but and yet
one of them.
You still like them. Whereas this character is deliberately hateful, and I don't know if I could be wrong, and I don't you guys could probably outvote me on it, but I feel like the reason he's on this list is because you hate him, and it's not in a I really like him because he's so bad. It's not that you really fucking hate him. So it's like it's not the same as being I don't know.
I do know what you mean. Let's move to Valentine from Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, because I think it's a very simple and a very quick cut.
Yeah, I only put him on there because I love Andy Samberg. I think that was the only reason.
I think if you're keeping one of the two, for example, Dragonlord's a much better character.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything Valentine says or does. So I
think a lot of that kind of humor comes between the interactions between like the three of them,
Yeah.
like Tiny Tina Valentine and that other character that they play with,
The
and it's like
robot.
their banter. Can't remember the name, but yeah, Dragon Lord as an individual character is better.
So we delete Valentine.
Valentine's easy cut, yeah.
Can we also remove Randy the Rad?
I think so. I think he is, you know, like he is the comedy kind of focal point, really, isn't he?
He's
But
a bit
he's
one
not.
note. He's a bit one note, isn't he? Let's face
And
it.
it's listen, it's text on a screen, right? It's not like you don't get. It's not got layers. Let's be honest.
No, I say it's one note. It's
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is one note.
I think I'd probably also cut Neon White from Neon White.
yeah,
I don't think his character does much.
No.
Yeah,
He's
I
just an
basically-
anime sword boy sort
I
of.
kind of wanted
character,
to include a
really.
character from Neon White. Couldn't really decide on one. But I actually like the story. I think more than most.
I think the
people in
chick, and I
Neon
can't.
White.
I don't remember which color she is. The one that just gives him shit constantly.
I think
Uh,
that's
Red.
Violet.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
yeah,
a more entertaining character, I think.
Yeah.
Like if you were going to
I-
pick a character from Neon White, I don't think I'd pick.
Yeah, you're
White.
probably right, but I also I don't know if anyone from Neon White would really make the list in the
No.
end. I just kind of wanted some representation
Just to
because I do
say,
think
yeah.
some of the dialogue's quite
Yeah,
fun in
that's
that game.
fine.
I think it's not particularly like dramatic all the time, but it's just sort of quite nice and bantery, like you said.
Yeah.
Can I be the arsehole for once?
Well,
I don't normally.
hang on.
What do you
Is
mean
that a
for
cut?
once?
Are we cutting
Oh,
Neon?
sorry. I thought we'd.
Yeah.
I just want to be absolutely sure because it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Chris.
I haven't
yes.
had my kind of tasty moment yet where people hate me for suggesting something. I don't think. I don't know how to pronounce this.
Blade.
Blade.
So the reason why I question it is the nature of the randomness of Elden Ring storytelling. I missed this guy's entire quest line.
He vanished
Because it did-
halfway through for me. I was doing it, and then he just disappeared from that quest line.
My entire
He was dead, I think. Someone said he was dead.
Not
I don't know.
throughout my entire playthrough of Blade, or if that's what we're going with
Blade.
now, Blade.
I think it's Blade, yeah.
Blade. I saw him at or
Blythe. I think it's
the bit before you fight the big geezer. What is the
In Elden Ring,
Fire
the big
giant.
geezer.
No, sorry,
big
the one
geezer.
where you all there's about 10 of you on one character.
Oh,
Radahn.
yeah.
Dan, yeah.
Radahn.
So in that bit where you meet all those characters, that was the first
Oh yeah, I
time I
think
met
he was
him.
there for me. Yeah, yeah.
That was the first time I met him. The second time I met him was at the end. I will just say at the end of a quest line where he's, let's just say, not happy with me. And they're the only two interactions I had with him. And it's only by reading the wiki that I'm
now
like,
you've-
oh.
Now you've said that, I remember I was mates with him. He vanished for like 10, 15 hours, and then I met him again, and he was furious at me, and we fought to the death. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I ain't got a
yeah,
fucking clue what I've done. Not a clue.
No.
Not a
And-
clue
and-
what I've
I
done.
think
And,
then-
I only know some of the other stuff because
You read it up on
through
it.
Googling stuff for quest lines and achievements, like as with everything, with these types of games, you go, oh, that sounds quite cool. Didn't happen in my playthrough.
You,
And
you,
I do
all
wonder
you were
fairness-
then-
unable to understand the labyrinthian
Yeah.
labyrinthine
it's-
quest lines
after
in that
it's
game.
him here, and here to
Yeah.
piece together the storyline of his kind of quest line. Which
And
links
if
to
you
other quest
progress
lines,
this
right?
quest line, this other quest
could
line
lose
here,
it,
it will
yeah.
affect that,
Yeah.
but you won't
And I-
know
and
that
I
until
did.
it's gone.
And so
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't want him as best new character because wasn't in my game.
But I'm also not going to play another 90 hours to see him.
No, to
Yeah.
see it exactly. Yeah.
I can't really argue with that. Like, I got quite lucky in that I found him because we were playing pre-release, weren't we? And I just stumbled on him. I think I don't even know why I found him. And then I kind of got quite lucky in what I was doing. And I think it's because I played the game in a certain way.
Yes.
So I remember
and
talking
also
to
an
Adam, and I
order
think
as well.
Adam,
Yeah.
because I know Adam went off and did a lot of different exploring to what I was doing because we were deliberately doing that because we were playing
Yeah.
pre-release. We were trying to feel the game out and see what was coming next. So I did manage to get quite lucky. So by the time I fought Radahn, I knew Blade was, and it was great to have him there. Like it was because he was reliable at that point. And then by the time his story arc went the way it did, I was genuinely gutted. And so that's why I put him on the list because his character story arc, if you do manage to play it from start to finish, and I appreciate that From Software did not make that easy for people. In fact, they didn't just make it easy for people; it was badly done.
Yeah, it's
it was
done. It's not
badly
well.
implemented.
When
I
I
don't
read
have
about
many
what I had
complaints.
was done, I was
Didn't
like,
they add a
Elden
quest
Ring,
system, or have I imagined that? Didn't they add
They
something
added a quest
like
journal,
a
so that
journal
you
or
could actually-
something?
because
Yeah. But
people
that
were
wasn't
saying,
there when
"Come
we
on."
played it.
No, exactly.
Would have been
So
bloody good.
I can't argue this, and if I put him on the list, I think because I did have a good experience with that character, and I was genuinely gutted when I had to kill him because I had no choice. So, and that was the other thing as well that From Software made it feel like you would have a choice, and then you didn't. It goes one way and
well,
one
other
way
than like
only.
run away. But you're right. It's like, yeah.
So he's a cut. I think I put him on the list so I can appreciate that.
A lot of people have very different characters based on their experiences. I think you're right. I think because I did Blides because he was with the big.
It was Renala Quest. It was
and E.G. the guy, the blacksmith. His character for me was more like what happens to him. Like that. That's one of my moments. But like for me, he was like my favorite character. I think. But it could have been someone on the other side of the map. It's just very different, and the way that the quest lines were so muddled. Like you needed a wiki to ever get anywhere near like finalizing any of them. So
that's the nature of that game, and I think therefore it's really hard to include a best new character 100%. From that game.
That's fair. I completely agree.
Let's cut him.
I don't think anyone is gonna have played New Tales from the Borderlands.
I have.
Have you?
Only the first chapter. Every time I sat down, I think I'm going to play a bit more of it, and I never got to do it more. By the time people hear this, I'm hoping I will. But I did. Anu was the guy of the three.
The girl.
Which one of them?
Not the one. Not Fran. Not the one in the.
Okay, right. Yeah, she features.
The scientist.
She doesn't feature an awful lot in that first chapter, so I can't really come with you on this. If you is the other either one of the other two, I think they're feature of what I've played. They
they are.
Heavily.
They are. Yeah. Her story comes into its own later on because of.
She's his brother ultimately, isn't she? Or was it half brother? I forget now.
And I like the game was great. It was a really good follow up to a beloved Telltale, the best Telltale, bar Walking Dead, I would say. Hang on.
Fables. You're a comic book guy, for fuck's sake. Fables.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's why I said Walking Dead. All right. Bloody hell.
No, Fables.
Yeah, I know, but Walking Dead's a comic. That's why I pointed out that the Walking Dead is the best.
But Fables,
which it is.
Yeah, Fables was great. All right. Well, whatever. Anyway, my point is,
that's all I wanted.
It was a good follow up from the original, and it doesn't really rely on it too much. Like there are obviously references to some of the characters, and they're even in it, but like. They created 3 brand new characters, and they're all good in a way. But I just feel her. What?
I like him. I would have gone with Fran.
I thought he said, I don't like him.
No, I like him. I think Fran was. I think Fran was my favourite so far.
Fran's
actually,
great. Fran's great, but I just think the voice actor as well for Anu was just
very good.
Brilliant. She's brilliant, and she really conveys she's a typical smart people tend to have they're very clumsy, or they're very smart, but in certain things they're not. Shut up.
Chris isn't clumsy.
Chris
isn't clumsy. What you say?
You just say fat people are really clumsy.
No, he said smart people.
Oh. Sorry, because then you went, Jesus.
Fat people are clumsy, though.
Fat people are really clumsy. You went, Chris isn't clumsy. I was like, fuck off.
I was being nice.
Jesus Christ. I just go and cry in the corner.
No, he said smart people are usually clumsy, and I said Chris isn't clumsy.
Stereotypically, they tend to. They create.
You need to sit down with someone.
I feel guilty for eating that fudge.
But I didn't think. And now Chris is giving me the V sign with his.
Said that. This Game of the Year podcast, I tell you.
Day 3 has been the undoing of Chris Hyde.
Yeah, it really has.
So,
Chris, carry on.
What happens if you put an S on the end of this person's name, Chris Hyde?
Oh, yes. That's mature.
Anus.
You fucking child.
Yes. When have I ever claimed otherwise?
No, that's true. So, yeah, anyway.
If Anu had some cream and you had to write
You never once thought that when playing it, because immediately I was like, God, she's so
genuinely.
If
something belongs to Anu, It literally says anus.
Yeah, it's anus cream.
If that's Anu's cream, it's anus cream.
Let's hope that no one watching this podcast has that name, and we are.
If they do,
They
they know what
through
we're
the
talking
They
about.
know. Yeah. Right, what are we doing with Anu? Anu.
Anus all my
What's doing
life.
with Anu?
If
Can't
you're watching
though, 'cause
Anu,
she's
get
not
in the
gonna
Discord,
survive, is she?
and it can be
So-
anus chat.
Oh, well, yeah, no, she's not. She's not, Chris. You're right.
We have
Okay.
to get rid of her now because no one will be able to
What are
say
we down
anything for the
to
rest
here?
of the pod.
7. We need 2 more to go.
What's Serenoa? Serenoa and Mio we haven't
I
mentioned.
can't-
And I know
Mio
Marissa Marcel,
Mio
but
stays
I've
for
got
me.
a feeling Marissa Marcel's probably
yeah.
staying.
Mio
based
stays for
on-
me. Serenoa, I can't really remember because I reviewed that game so long ago. It was like last year.
Yeah,
But it wasn't.
I feel like the story in Triangle Strategy, the more interesting parts of it are sort of like the factions warring the different parts of this like kingdom, basically.
It's Game of Thrones, the
Like-
game for me. This game.
It is. It 100% is. But I don't necessarily think that Serenoa is like the big important character that is like key to everything. It's just sort of like the one you play as, the one who's the main one.
The main one.
Who put her on the him? Her? Is it him? Or is it
Him.
what is Serenoa? Right. Who put them on the list then? Who added
I think it was you, Adam. Cause
Oh, I thought it was you.
No.
Right. Well, bye, Serenoa.
The ones that no one claims.
Because I know you played obviously for Steam Deck PC much later, and like me, loved it.
It's a great.
So
great
I
game,
thought
but-
you put that on the list,
yeah.
but I think I must have just done that automatically at the start of like when we
Mick-
populated the list.
Mick
Okay.
is
Did
you say
looking at
Mio
this
was a-
going, He is so close to getting a Destiny
Oh,
2.
I think it's fair. I think he
I do
deserves
as well.
it.
That's why
I
I've,
think
I've
it's
ignored
going
it.
on, yeah.
I think Mio has to stay, and for me, it's between Marissa Marcel and Heimdall.
I'd say it's between Dragon Lord and Heimdall. I like Dragon Lord,
if I'm
but he's
okay,
quite
to
a
be really clear,
stereotypical Borderlandsy villain in many ways. I think. I don't think he does anything.
But he
bad.
sort
If
of he comes
if I'm
round, doesn't
choo-
he? Sorry, Chris should have said that. Can you say it? I'll let it in.
What, sorry?
You need to say he comes round.
oh, he
with
comes round
Annie's
the back.
cream.
He comes round in the end.
Right, okay,
Back
I'll
end.
make a call, right? I'll make a call and we're cutting Heimdall,
Yep, fine.
right?
Happy.
Because
not even gonna
you
argue
guys
with
are
this.
all happy with that, and I don't want to cut Marissa
Do,
myself.
do you understand why we want Heimdall cut?
Yeah, and I also appreciate, because I like the fact that you understand why I put it
No,
in
I
the
do. I
first place.
absolutely understand it.
I
it's
also get
hard
it.
for me
I just-
because I haven't seen the stuff with Ratatoska, but if what you're saying is true,
Brilliant.
then I would be like, oh, that's really interesting, and it's adding something to a character that up to this point has
Just a
been
bit of
pretty
comic
one-note
relief.
to me. Yeah, it's the comedy bit, isn't it? Right?
But as you progress down his quest line, as you do more and more,
Yeah, and I'm very close, but I had to stop. 'cause
Yeah,
I
no,
had
of
to
course you
finish-
did.
I had to kind of mainline the game at some point
Yeah.
because I was, you know what I'm like normally.
yeah, no, I know.
So I would, based on that and the will of the council, I would cut Heimdall and say that's a 5. Get that Destiny 2.
Didn't even have to
Cow back to
argue
number
for
5.
Marissa.
Whoa, we can't be mean to the Destiny one. It's made it.
Oh,
far.
he's
Let's see if
happy
he can
it's
keep
here.
going
Don't
up.
like-
You could put her at 5. Put
Let's
her at
not
5.
let's not like elevate it. Right.
Although I do think she was a better villain and a lot more nuanced than Dragon Lord, but I'm not going to win that one. So
Is Dragon Lord 4?
I think,
I think
on that
yeah, I mean
list,
Dragon Lord for
basically.
me is almost like.
Oh, God,
there's
is
an arc
Dragon
and
Lord
it's a bit like
5?
it's like a bit like a
Dragon
Deadpool
Lord's
type.
5.
It's Dragon
do it.
I
Lord
think
5.
Dragon Lord is a very Borderlandsy, and I'm not knocking it.
Someone give the passion that Mick gave for Dragon Lord. I can't. I liked
No, I
him.
can't. It made me laugh on a lot of occasions. I like the fact that
There's some sadness as well, isn't there?
the poking fun at the nature of things is great, but it's not to the level that Mick was.
But just to be absolutely clear,
It's not going
crystal
higher.
as fuck, 4 is as high as it goes.
I think we can get it to 3.
Okay? No, we cannot.
Well, I don't know anything about Mio from Xenoblade, but
Mio
Adam
is my
seems
number
quite
1.
passionate. So.
Of that list, same.
Yes.
And also, it wasn't Marissa Marcel. I mean, I read Chris's review of Immortality, and it seemed like he fell in love at some
He
point
definitely did.
during that game.
yeah,
Like real,
I'll go
genuine.
there in a
I'm
bit,
in
if you
love
want.
with this person. I will marry her tomorrow.
But talking about like as a character,
Hmm.
she plays about 10.
yeah.
Like she is an incredibly versatile actor for starters. She's playing characters in the 3 separate films where it's based on. Then she's playing herself in the behind the scenes and the like rehearsals and the interviews and on all that kind of stuff. And then there's another layer to her, which we'll go into soon because it's obviously getting
Story.
spoiler territory. We don't need to go there now, but it's the way she's just fascinating. It's like Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct. There's a certain
Oh, now I'm
quality to her
interested.
where
Carry on.
Mick,
Continue.
freezer pot.
enraptures you, and you do fall for her, which is what the characters do as well. She's got that quality to it, like, and it's the subtle bits that she does. Like you're watching one of these clips unfold, and whatever happens, and then you rewind it and you notice certain things, like she glances at the camera and she's glancing at you. She's not, and you miss it first time round, and it's like these little subtle things she does throughout the whole game, which just makes her so fascinating to watch. But just purely as an actor, I can't believe we've not really seen her before. And I think there's a lot of games where they have FMV or whatever that don't do half as good a job as she did.
I remember when we spoke about it, in between giving it a pasting for various things, what I will, because there are things that, the different experience type things. But the thing that you can't ignore on this is that game is incredibly well acted. And normally what happens with FMV games is they go down
This shit.
cliche campy type.
That's the best type of FMV.
No, I'm not saying I
Let's
don't
all
enjoy.
agree.
I was going to say I'd enjoy a bit of camp then, and I'll just whatever. But you forget that you're watching an actor play an actor. Like you're literally watching those behind the scenes, and it feels like a documentary. Like genuinely.
See, this, though, I would argue that this is a similar thing to the Heimdall argument, though, in that that's more the actress and the direction than it is the actual character.
It'd be like a best performance, I guess.
Yeah, like I'm not knocking what she does, but I'm suggesting that that's more about the person playing her than it is about what the character is and does. Just based on what you guys are saying, like it's more about how well the game is put together, how well she's directed, how good a job she personally does of conveying a bunch of different emotions and different characters, rather than saying that's a breakout character.
She is the same. It's hard because she is the same character in every character she plays. There is one thing that links everything together, and there are traces of it in every role she plays, in who she is when she's not being the character she played in the films. Like the story behind it, if you unfold it, you realize she is actually one thing, which again,
okay, so I'd phrase it a different way. Does so you fell in love with the character in the way she was performing, what she did. Was the woman herself what kept you interested, if that makes sense?
I think there are many facets, but that is one, yeah. But I think the quality,
like underneath the role she was playing, when you got down to the character, and you said like you'd catch little glances where she would look at the screen, or she would do a certain thing that you would be able to pick. That is a very difficult thing to explain, obviously.
Yeah,
it's even harder for me to articulate clearly.
But the game's the game, isn't it? That's the game that they've made.
Yeah,
that's what.
I guess my only question is, because she's on the 5. My only question is she above Ratatosca?
Well, I was just going to ask the question of the list as it stands. Is that the list? That's because we've got 5 and 4 pretty much.
Because I'm happy that I've got 4.
I'd be more than happy.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't played Xenoblade, so I can't really comment there. And I'm
Chris,
sure
Chris
if
Hyde, do you
you're-
want to give us a eulogize me a little bit, and then we
Well,
can make
I
a
was going
decision.
to let you start and I'll add because you put her on, and I was quite proud that you did.
I
Normally
just
it's
think
me that
she's-
champions the RPG characters.
I just
Okay,
think
so what
she's
is it about her? She's not obviously she's not the stock squeaky JRPG.
no, she's got incredible depth to her. Like it's her stall is set out quite early on in that she has a fate that you are hurtling towards at a frightening pace. There's nothing anyone can do to change her fate. And as in real life, when you're faced with that sort of trauma of knowing your card's about to get punched and there's, it's coming, whatever you like it or not, introspection happens and you as a person change. It's or you don't. Some people don't, but the good people do, don't they? The good people realize I've got limited time left, so I need to make the most of it and be the best I can and make the best of it. Without spoiling anything, that pace suddenly is upon you, and suddenly the game's sort of literally telling you she's really running out of time. And even from there, things happen, and her character development is such that she's like the heart of a very long 60-plus hour JRPG that is kind of almost MMO in its combat nature, but so much is going on, colour and noise, and there's silliness in the Xenoblade Chronicles 3. When we talked about Xenoblade the other day, one thing that I think, Lyle, you asked a question the other day about arguably it's worse in terms of the audio, and we rebutted that. But I would argue that actually this is the best story in a Xenoblade game, because I think it's... Yes, there's the call-outs. Yes, there's the noise that comes from the characters. But the story's so much more grounded in a lot of aspects, even among the fantastical characters. And the very heart of everything in this game is Mio. And she's so core to that heart of this game. And her development is so strong that she changes those around her, and they develop because of her. It's almost like that very real thing of when you know someone who's just such a fucking good person, they make you better.
She's not the protagonist, right?
She's one of them, yeah. She's one of them.
She's one of six. I would say she's one of the two main.
She's one of the two mains
so there's
of the six. Yeah.
There's essentially two groups of.
It's
three.
her and Noah, and they're the leaders of those two packs of three.
Yeah.
But she's
by
one of those
far
people.
elevates Ironically, Noah's the one.
I would argue Noah is the protagonist, but she
Noah's
is the heart.
protagonist in the box art and the one that they probably go after. But she's by far the driver.
She's
of
the heart and soul of the
arc
game,
and
and she's one of those characters that, such as like I say in real life, elevates others just by being around her, and that's why
it's difficult to say more without really unnecessarily spoiling
to go
it.
any further than that. I would have to literally ruin the story to this game.
People want a challenge, but I think I'm completely with Adam on this.
In that case, to be honest, I'm happy. I've got no complaints there at all whatsoever.
Like if you played this and you got 10 hours in and you were like, I'm not into this game's combat or the world, I think she might pull you through. I think you would want to see where her story ends up, and she's not like you could technically play most of the game with her as the controllable avatar. You can play all of it because you meet her after a short few hours as Noah. But like I said, she's the heart and soul of the game that elevates everyone around her, and it isn't just she makes Noah fall for her or whatever or be a better person. She makes the other people around her that she joins the gang with better people, and then the two other characters of the sort of other side of the three, she makes them better characters. She elevates everyone just by being Mio, and I think I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in a Xenoblade game for sure. I've always felt I've never really connected with a Xenoblade story, and this one's got that much more heart and warmth that she just. Like I say, the word I would use is she just makes everyone better just by existing, and it's a really odd thing for a JRPG to do, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
that seems like a locked list then to me.
No objections here.
Unless you want to argue the toss of Marissa versus Ratatosca, I think we're there.
I don't feel
Chris
as strongly
loves
about Ratatosca
Marissa
as
too
Chris
much.
does about Marissa. And if anyone's going to toss, it's going to be Chris Hyde, let's face it.
Yes. And I'm going to be tossing towards Marissa.
Jesus
Lovely.
Christ.
Wow.
Best new character. 5th place, Dragon Lord, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. 4th place, Mick, how do I pronounce it?
Savathun.
Destiny 2, The Witch Queen. 3rd place, Ratatosca, God of War Ragnarok. 2nd place, Marissa Marcel, Immortality. And the best new character of 2022 is Mio from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And that is day 3 in the books. That's best multiplayer, best new character. Means tomorrow we're talking proper spoilers. So just as at this juncture, if you're somehow smashing through these and you're mainlining them or binge listening or watching or whatever it is you're doing, best story and best moment of tomorrow, there is no way around discussing spoilers. I'm not going to read the lists now, but I'm just, we will read the lists of games before we get to them. And pretty much kind of best story will lead into best moment. A lot of the best stories will have the best moments. So if we list a game in best story, likelihood is we're going to talk about them in best moment. Thank you to Chris, Lyle. It always sounds like I'm saying Chris, like Chris will make you. But thank you to Chris, Chris Hyde, Chris White, Lyle Carr, Mick Fraser. Thank you for being here, folks.
Thank you.
It's been a good one.
This is the point where it gets real. So we'll see you for day 4 tomorrow. I guess or whenever you choose to listen, but you'll be back. You'll be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.